Well, we are back again, back to reviewing Marvel crap. That's what we're doing today. The last thing we covered was the Marvels, and that was what a couple of months ago now. But yes, we've now got more Marvel to have a look at. You can see the joy on my face. Well, I don't have to talk about this. That's always one thing that I can never remember. I don't actually have to fucking review this. But I decide to do it anyway. Right, let me just... Yeah, we're all sorted on that front. But yeah, we're not going to waste too much time. We're pretty much just going to get into it because I want to get this done in about a couple of hours. Rather than... Because I think the Marvels, that took 3.5 hours. I don't expect it will take that long with this show because nothing really happens. It's honestly just a waste of time throughout the entire show. There's no characters. There's no nothing really. How's it going, Biffa? Yeah, I mean, you could do something good with that. You know, see no evil, hear no evil. That would be a decent parody. Although the MCU's already at that point, I wouldn't be surprised if they did do something like that. But yeah, so to just kind of give you an overview of what this show is. We've got Echo. I'm willing to stand by the statement that Echo is the most boring character in the entire MCU. There's so many more characters that are more interesting than whatever she is. She just has nothing. The actress has about 3 faces, 3 emotions. But the majority of them are scowls. She'll just scowl at people. So it doesn't do well on that front. Again, I don't really want to be the one to say, oh, this show was a bad idea. But it was. We've got all the, it's just sign language. There's no talking going on. Because Echo can't read lips. That's one of the biggest thing I'm confused by. That Echo can't read lips. I find that very strange. If she's supposed to be somewhat comparable to Daredevil in the sense that she has, she doesn't have hearing. You would think she would have something where, right, I can read lips though. That you would think in her sort of profession that would be ideal to have. But she can't read lips. It's really strange. But outside of that, it's just like she doesn't do anything. There's no arc, there's no journey, there's no nothing. Just, oh, she shows up, she's a villain. By the end, she's still a villain. Yet the show seems to think that's her hero's journey. And it's like, you haven't done anything with her. And it's like, what the sort of, the concepts that they have the things there that they could explore to do something with. And they just don't. They're just like, we could do that. I know what's better. Let's just, I don't know, she goes a motorbike ride for 15 minutes. How about that in your Marvel show? But so it's like the most obvious thing what you could do. You have this villain. She's a hired killer. And then, I don't even know why we need to make her a hero. But I mean, she's not an anti-villain. She's nothing like an anti-villain. She is just a villain. So I don't know why you'd have a show based on some fucking side character for Dead. It's more like the type of thing, right? In season 4 of Daredevil, we're gonna have Echo as an antagonist. Something like that. But they just I don't really understand why. Why they want to do her own show in the first place. I don't know why you don't just, she's just does her job. She's got to deal with these people that are fucking with her, something like that. I don't know why by the end it's like, oh, she's a hero now, right? Why have we done that? Why have we made that decision? So it's like, even if they want that to be the case, like by the end she's, somewhere nearer to being a hero. They don't start her off, recognizing the things that she has done. She's a murderer. She's a hired killer with no remorse, no regret. So it's like, if you want to have that hero thing at the end, it's like, why don't we start off with her recognizing that? You know, realizing what a horrible piece of shit she is. Because that doesn't change throughout the show. She just uses people. She doesn't do anything on her own. Which, I mean, one leg, that's not really a surprise. But even that doesn't really play into it, the fact that she's got one leg. You know, I can't really think of anything at the moment where that plays some sort of key role in some area, where it comes in handy, or gets brought up in a sort of, I don't know, rewarding way. It's just like, oh, she's just got one leg as well. And that's one of the things we have to deal with in this series, is none of the guys that are trying to take her down think to go, sweep the leg. You know, they don't think, oh, just go for her leg, she's fucked. You know, but there's even I believe it's in episode 3, where she gets kidnapped, and the kidnappers, rather than take her fucking leg away, so, you know, she can't move about then, she's not going to give you any problems. Instead, they go, oh, we'll just hand you your fake leg back. You know, they take the leg off her body, and then they hand her it back. It's like, why? You know, if you take that leg, she's done for. But nobody seems to realise that. And the same goes for in the fights. It's like, this person's easy to beat because you just take the leg out. Take the leg out, what exactly is she going to do? You know, nothing. But no one ever thinks about that. They act as though it's a real human leg. It's like, no, it's a fake leg. Go for the leg. Always go for the leg. So, yeah, you know, you kind of get the gist. You know, it's kind of the usual problems. Again, the action's fucking terrible. And I did, after I watched there's like a big fight in episode 3. So once I'd seen that, I thought, right, I'm going to go and look at the Daredevil hallway fight scene from the season 1. And it's like everything I sort of had complaints about with the Echo fight. You look at the Daredevil fight, and all of those problems aren't there. They're just non-existent. Basically, everything is covered for. Whereas, you know, what we have with the Echo fight is, oh, I'm a bad guy, I've got a gun, so rather than go, I'm going to stand all the way over there and shoot at you, I'm going to walk up to you with a gun, so you can punch it out my hands. You know, that is a continuous thing. Whereas, you know, I'll probably save because we'll probably have a look at the Daredevil fight scene to sort of compare them. But yeah, you just have things in that Daredevil fight where it's all covered. You know, there's no problems here. But then Echo, it's like, yeah, you're just trying. It's just a bad impression. It's just you know, a bad mimicry of what Daredevil done. That's kind of what they're aiming for. The action side of things. I'm trying to think what else to mention before we go into this. But yeah, outside of all that, you know, you've got there's no plot. You know, it's just, oh, Echo wants to be the new Queen Pin. They literally say that in the show. I don't know why she wants to be this big crime lord. I don't know why she wants to be a crime lord. And then she decides, oh, I don't actually want to be a crime lord. But for some reason, we never find out why she's making the decisions she's making. There's nothing about her where it's like, right, I can determine some type of character here. I can determine why she's making certain decisions. But it's just not. It's just, oh, I want to take over Wilson Fisk. Now I don't. And then I'm going to get superpowers even though I don't deserve them. I'm not worthy of them. Because that's how the powers work. You know, we'll talk about it a bit more, but she just gets powers. And she's like the least deserving person to get them. Yet this, you know, all-seeing thing above her goes, you're the one to have powers. A murderer. So none of that is, like, justified that, oh, she gets all these powers. Powers which you won't even be able to know what they are. I don't know what these powers do. The only thing I can go, I guess, strength. For some reason, it's got, you know, it's like Professor X powers as well. She can enter people's minds. I don't know what the fuck was going on at that part. So that's kind of all the stuff to sort of expect. It's just, you know, again, we're dealing with a show where it's like they keep saying, oh, it's grounded. It's like, no, it's not. She gets a load of magical powers at the fucking end from alien Native Americans, whatever the fuck that's about. So that, you know, it's not grounded. There's nothing grounded about it. You know, it's like every other show. It's like you can even have Ms. Marvel, and by the end of it, it's all to do with fucking time travel. Because they always just go overboard every time. So even this has like elements like that. It's like, oh, we're just getting insane now. Yet again, we're just getting insane by the end of the series. You know, the same goes for, oh, it's gritty. It's like a couple of people, you see some blood. They don't make use of the fact that they have the, you know, they're more adult orientated. They don't make use of that. When it's like you think you probably would. You know, you would actually make it more gritty. But again, none of that really matters because the show's just fucking terrible. So it doesn't, even if it is gritty, it's, you know, again, that's not a mark of quality, which I think some people seem to think that if something's more gritty, that somehow makes it better. At least, I've seen a few people go, Echo's, it's got, you know, this R rating. It's like, what's that gonna change? You know, Disney is still gonna make these shows the way they make them, not knowing how to make them. You know, this show in particular is the biggest example of Disney not knowing how to make TV. You know, I really do want to do a video at some point comparing, you know, let's just go with the first episode, comparing that to, you know, whether it's Breaking Bad, you know, any show from, you know, just the good shows that we used to get more of. And it's like you compare them, it's like the amount of stuff you'll get, just say Breaking Bad for an example, you know, the amount of stuff you're getting in that very first episode. You figure out, right, who's Walt, what's going on in his life, what's going to make him, you know, sort of change the sort of things that he does. You know, you get all that, you get everything, so much stuff within one episode. And then you come to like a Disney show, you have the first episode, fucking nothing. You've got nothing. In the first episode, we've got about 15 minutes of story. And that's just, oh, she meets a guy and says, I want to do this. And that's all you get. The rest of it is a big, long half an hour of just previously on. They never make the use of the time that they have, the money that they have. Instead, every time it's just, well, you know, again, I think a lot of it is because they make TV like they would a movie. And it's like, well, TV's a bit fucking different to a movie. You know, first of all, you got a lot more time to fill. So the main problem that they have is they go, right, we're going to make, you know, a 2-hour movie. We're going to split it up into, in Echo's case, 5 episodes. And then, because the episodes only hit about 10 minutes on their own, we're then going to add a bunch of stuff in there that doesn't need to be in there. Like, oh, she rides her bike. We need to see her ride a bike from one place and arrive at the place and step out and walk in a house. Because otherwise, how could we know how she got there? So it's all things like that. It's so obvious that they're just struggling to fill time. When, like I've mentioned with other shows, the amount of stuff you're getting within your first episode. But yeah, you know, I think you're right, Biffa. Marvel needs to take a break. Thankfully, this year we've only got Deadpool 3 and Agatha. So, you know, it looks like it's calming down a bit, which I'm quite happy with, to be honest. But I suppose we'll jump into this show because I've probably gone on a lot longer than I wanted to at this start point. So let me get rid of that and bring in this. But we're essentially just go through it like I've done with most things. Just although this will probably be different in the sense that all the most useless stuff I'm not even going to bother getting into because there's just no point. So we're going to try and get it through sort of as quickly as we can. So you start out this show, and already you're just kind of like, what, you know, we're already sort of verging on the edge of, oh, this is just nonsense, just gobbledygook. We've got these people in a cave of some type. They're aliens. You know, that's what I don't know if that's what they're going for, but to me that just says, oh, aliens. So already it's like, oh, what happened to this? Oh, it's grounded. It's grounded in reality. It's like, no, already, 1 minute in, it's like, what the fuck is going on? So we've got these alien-like people. The cave starts falling in on them. And yeah, you've got this. So this is like a woodpecker, or is it a woodpecker? I'm only calling it a woodpecker just because it did that later on in the show. You know, it was pecking at a load of wood. But that came up saying hummingbird, so, you know, it must be a hummingbird then. So this starts, you know, crashing in on them. And then they're out on Earth. You know, I don't know, were they inside the Earth? Were they from outer space? Well, I don't know. How did they get here? Who transported them here? You know, why did any of this happen? Those are questions that are never answered. You know, again, already just starting off a show with a load of nonsense that we never get answers for. It's just like, here's some nonsense. Oh, don't think about it too much. None of it makes any sense. We didn't really think about it properly. Because, you know, I, as the writer or director, I was hired by Marvel because I'm shit. So, you know, just don't think about it too much. So then this stuff starts flaking off their hands. And then you realise, oh, they're Native Americans. And you find out that these were the first Choctaw, or Choctaws. I don't know how you say it. But yeah, these were the first Choctaw. You know, already, you know, once you hit episode 5 at like the end, they start thanking the Choctaw Nation and all that. And it's like, I'm not being funny, but if I was them and I seen that this was the end result, I'd be like, what the fuck? You know, first of all, you know, I don't know if this is what they believe. You know, they came from these alien-like people. But even if that was the case, none of it is explained. It's just like, oh, here's some aliens. Oh, now they're on Earth. Oh, their skin starts flaking off. And then we have Native Americans. Oh. So, yeah, that's what opens the show. You know, you've got these two. So that's, you know, a young Echo. She's talking to her cousin, Bonnie. Now, the reason why I mention this is because they do fuck all with them. You know, there's no conflict with them. They don't even have a proper conversation. But in this scene, you know, you have Echo saying to her, we're not just cousins, we're sisters. You know, so they're really close, you know, cousins. But yet the show, there's nothing for a cousin Bonnie to do. When it's like, you would think, right, you know, you were this close, you know, when you were kids. Later on, Echo stopped talking to you, you know, sent you no messages, all of that. So you would think there would be some type of conflict there. But they don't even have a conversation. You know, they speak to each other in one scene, and they don't really do anything with it. And again, it's just like they have these obvious routes to go, and they just never do. They never go, all right, we've set these two up, they're very close, they drift apart, right, now we're going to throw them back together, say 20 years later. You know, the amount of things you can do with that. You know, any sense of conflict, they just don't explore it. You know, the same goes with Echo's grandmother, someone else she drifted away from. They don't really have they have one conversation. You know, that's kind of what we're dealing with. There's just nothing is explored. I do get the feeling that there was a lot more here that's just been cut out. You know, they cut out all the wrong stuff. And they've instead replaced it with a load of meaningless nonsense. So that just kind of gives you a sense of, you know, where she is. The grandmother, you do get something like, I don't know, she's in contact with these fucking Choctaw alien people. So then you have Echo come in, because it's, you know, Echo and her mother, they can't, you know, they're deaf. They're both deaf, so we start getting quite a lot of sign language. You know, the sign language just becomes tedious throughout this show. Especially for the people that aren't deaf. Because you get a lot of, You know, they're kind of struggling to do it because they don't know how to fucking do sign language. They've just learned it yesterday. So they got to kind of think about it, and then they sort of say it very slowly. That's really what takes up so much time. Is because you have to constantly stop and go, right, here's this guy, he's learned it yesterday, he's now going to attempt to do sign language. And it just wastes so much time. And it's always wasted on, the shittiest dialogue you could imagine. It's just like in that scene there, Echo just said to her mum, oh, we're out of ice cream. Can you take me for ice cream? It's like, oh, we use that sign language cleverly there. So you get a lot of that. So that's what's going to happen. Echo and her mother go out. She realizes, oh, my brakes aren't working. I'm about to go into this junction. My brakes are fucked. So she's trying to... She doesn't once think, maybe try the handbrake. Because that's what I do. If the handbrake doesn't work, then maybe what I do is I would turn the steering wheel so then I sort of, go off the road and sort of try and bring it to a, slow that way. It's better trying to, edge it away than just go, no, I'm just going to fly straight into traffic. But it's later sort of confirmed that someone did this because Echo's dad is a bit of a criminal. So it's people that cut his wife's brakes. So I guess the handbrake wouldn't work, but even then it's like, just swerve. That's all you got to do, really. But none of that works, so we end up with this. And already, you've got, we already know how fucking car windows are designed. But for some reason, the people working over at Marvel, they didn't know this. They just didn't know it. And again, I just think to myself, if you can't even get the simple stuff right, if you can't even figure out how car windows work. What we're doing is, right, Echo's got to lose her leg somehow. And they didn't think, well, what we'd do is, there's a big crash, Echo's leg is crushed, to the point of the doctors say, right, we've got to cut this leg off. No, there's nothing we can do. It's like, just do that. Instead, they have this big bit of glass, straight inside her leg. So that's how she loses her leg. And it's just like, where did that big piece of glass come from? Because that's not, that's, first of all, I don't even think that's out of a car window. It doesn't quite look right. Second of all, it's like, so, where did this piece of glass come from? It can't be the windscreen, because it doesn't work that way. Usually over the windscreen, there's a sort of film on it that prevents it from, breaking in the big bits. Usually it just cracks. And I mean, the car hit you from the side, so I don't really see, the windscreen having much damage, other than just being cracked. But even if something, if a pole or something hit the front window, it generally just goes straight through. It doesn't, big pieces of glass. It doesn't come from the side windows, because side windows are designed to just shatter into a million little pieces. So already they don't even know how car windows work. That's the kind of people working at Marvel. So yeah, I don't understand why you wouldn't just go with, she crushes, her leg's crushed. I don't know why they need this big reveal of a massive piece of glass from somewhere, just, in her leg. So that's when you realise that her mother's dead. We go to the hospital. Her grandmother's pissed off with her dad, because her dad's a criminal, and it's because of him that this has happened. And he's like, oh, well, I'm gonna deal with the people that did this. But the grandmother's like, I don't want to look at you. I don't want to see you anymore. And that's what makes him move to New York with his daughter for a new life. He's still a criminal. That's the kind of life he's taken her into. And she blames herself for her mother's death because she wanted to go out and get ice cream. There was something when I was first going through this. There was something I kind of thought about that, because there's kind of a part later on where, well, I think some of it's in this episode, but there's something like, right, when you were young, you blamed yourself for the death of your mother, but then in this show, you put your family in danger. You know, you purposely put your family in danger. It just you know, it doesn't quite follow when you've blamed yourself for your mother's death. It would make me think, all right, this person doesn't want any, you know, doesn't want this to happen again, any harm brought to her family. But no, that's what she does in this episode. She endangers her entire family. So her dad takes her off to New York. You know, we can get through this fairly quickly. Because, you know, again, a lot of this is just, oh, this was in Hawkeye. I remember these scenes in Hawkeye, the 2 episodes of it that I watched. You know, again, it's not, you know, you can do this stuff so much quicker, you know, a sort of backstory for your character. Even then, I'd be like, well, it's more interesting to sort of gradually find this out. You know, what her backstory is. Her backstory is something that can't possibly exist. When the Daredevil series has now been confirmed to be canon to the MCU, this doesn't fucking fit in that show. So it shouldn't even exist, you know, first of all. But it's just like they don't think, right, we can get this stuff done in 5 minutes, and then we can jump into, what is this show about? What is Echo going to be doing? You know, you can get to that so much quicker. Instead, no, we're going to spend half an hour on it. And then you only get maybe 5 minutes of what this show is about. So she starts off there. You know, this is where she learns karate. You start gradually seeing Kingpin, because she's very important to Kingpin. Although I don't remember Kingpin ever mentioning her. I don't remember Daredevil going, oh, he's got this deaf woman that's round about him. You know, I don't remember this. So, you know, she's learning boxing. She finds that Ronin, when Hawkeye was in his Ronin phase, he went and he killed Echo's father. We find out because he was manipulated into doing it. The Kingpin manipulated Ronin into killing her father because he wanted him dead. So that's other stuff you eventually find out. But first of all, she starts, I don't know, because her dad's died, I guess she starts doing criminal stuff. She goes in this motorbike shop, deaf, remember? So if the police show up, she can't hear them. So it's probably not a good thing to do. Second of all, it's like you're doing it in this bike shop with all these people. I don't know what you were thinking with that. So the police show up. So what she does, she turns the motorbike, and the motorbike flies through the window, and you're just like, right, what was the point in that? There was no point to that whatsoever. You know, if you want to show, oh, you've got this young person who's just lost. She's turned to, doing things that she shouldn't do. It's like there's simpler ways to do that. To show her sort of, she's rebelling or something like that. This is just like, well, that was pointless. You could have actually just shown us something normal. Than, oh, she's in this bike shop and then she's just going to let it go through the window. Right? Okay, whatever the point in that was. So she gets arrested, but oh no, out steps Kingpin. And he rescues her from the police. Now, I'm already confused about what the timeline is here. Within the Daredevil show. Because there's a lot of things about the timeline that just doesn't fit whatsoever. But I assume this is like it's got to be like 2018, something like that. So she gets in the car, she's been let off the hook. He tells her a fake story that, oh, yeah, my dad was killed as well. He doesn't quite tell her the part about, well, I hit him over the head with a hammer multiple times. Because it seems like he's being more, I guess, manipulative is the word. That seems to be what they're going for. That's why he's not telling her, the truth of what happened. Because, when I first heard this, I'm like, no, it didn't happen like that. But it's not until later on he sort of reveals like the true story. So this is him just, oh, come and work for me. And that she does. She goes off into this place. Again, she doesn't know how to lip read, so these guys are telling her what they want her to do, and she's just like, I don't know. So already it's like, why the fuck did Kingpin pick this person? You know, she's got one leg, she's deaf, can't lip read. You know, maybe she needs a bit more to know what's going on. Again, I don't know why she can't lip read. It's like the deaf people do that all the time. Like, they know how to lip read. It's something that you can learn. You know, I find it quite funny is what she chastises Kingpin for not learning sign language later on. It's like, you couldn't fucking learn to lip read. So, you know, you're very similar. So she goes into this place, they get patted down, and then, of course, they do the thing, oh, he's touching her breasts and arse and all that. Every time they why do they do this with everything like this is a common occurrence? Like, whenever they've got some woman in the MCU that has to get patted down, you always have the perv doing it. Why is that always the case? But it's, you know, it's always something that, yeah, that seems about right for current Marvel. The type of stuff that they would sort of include. But, you know, all that was pointless. What did that tell me? Other than, oh, she's quick to, you know, punch a guy for doing stuff. You know, that's all there is to it, really. So they're trying to explain to her, oh, we're going to do this. And they're thinking, for fuck's sake, why did Kingpin, of all people, send this bitch? She doesn't know what we're about to do. You know, you would think Kingpin would fill her in before this. Rather than just, I'll just turn up there. You know, I guess they know sign language. Maybe they know sign language. But no. So they get in here, and then this is when the big fight happens. You have, so Echo's like, at first she's just like standing there like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure about what you want me to do. And then she gets like right into it. She snaps a guy's neck. And then it's just a big fight going on. I'm not really going to spend time talking about this fight because, you know, there's the fight in episode 3 is probably more worthwhile talking about. And that's when Daredevil turns up. He says, I've been watching these guys for ages, and then you come and screw it up. So they have a big fight. You know, again, this should be an easy fight for Daredevil. He should absolutely demolish her. She's got one leg. There should really be no... You know, you think about the people that Daredevil has fought in the past. It's like she's not comparable to them. You know, he's dealt with fucking really tough guys to beat. And this is just like, oh, yeah, this would go on this long. Just doesn't seem likely to me. So the main weird thing about this was that, you know, they're fighting, Daredevil's got the upper hand, and then he just leaves. So already that's like, yeah, Daredevil wouldn't do that. You know, he would at least knock her out. You know, he would at least knock her out, tie her up maybe, so the police can get her. You know, something like that. But no, he just leaves. Really? You're not going to ask this person for information. You're just going to go, oh, I'll fight you for a bit, and then I'll just leave. I don't really understand that at all. That seems already out of character for Daredevil. And then, for some reason, they have the nerve to have Kingpin say, oh, none of my guys have ever dealt with Daredevil that well before. It's like, yes, they have. Daredevil's on multiple occasions has almost been killed fighting people that work for you. Because I forget the ninja guy's name in season 1. What was his name? Because it's been a couple of years since I last rewatched it, so I'm kind of forgetting. But even like the guy with the kind of God of War fucking, you know, chains with blades on them. You know, that guy that basically almost kills him. So I don't know how you can say, oh, none of my guys. It's like, yeah, they have. They did it in season 1. You know, even you beat Daredevil in season 1. You know, it wasn't until the very end that he finally beat you. So she's like, you're ready for the next step, and then you just get sort of flashbacks to her killing people for Kingpin. And again, as I've mentioned, she doesn't reckon with this. She doesn't even acknowledge what she is. It's just like, nah, she's a hero now at the end of the season. So that's what's happening. It just shows you all this. And then her find it, like, Hawkeye tells her, oh, I didn't kill your dad, even though I still killed him, even if it was Kingpin that manipulated me into doing it. It's like, you still did it. You were still a part of it. So that's what he explains to her, that it's your boss, that being Kingpin, that wanted this to happen. He wanted your dad dead for whatever reason. A reason we never find out. We never find out, why did Kingpin kill her dad? What problems was he causing him? You know, we don't find any of that out. You know, that's not really something she deals with either. You know, her father being killed. You know, unless they did it in Hawkeye. So that's when it shows you Kingpin he gets shot. This is from Hawkeye. I believe this is right after he got beat by Girl Hawkeye the first time she met him. You know, we don't want to make a villain seem like a threat. We want to have some little girl come up, beat him the first time he meets her. You know, we're not going to do it in a way that makes sense like Daredevil did it. You know, the first couple of times he came across Kingpin fucking demolished him. You know, that sort of establishes Kingpin as this big threat. And it makes it more satisfying when Daredevil finally beats him at the end of the season. Because you've actually made this guy a threat. So, yeah, we didn't do that in Hawkeye. But now Kate Bishop just came across him, beat him, done. It took Daredevil multiple attempts. But however, Little Girl beats him straight away. Yeah, the MCU have definitely fucking ruined him now. I mean, they already done it in Hawkeye, but this, I think, just solidifies it. So he gets shot in the face. Somehow he's alive. I don't know how. I don't know how Echo at a point-blank range misses. You know, she seemed to have just got him, like, right by there. Or sort of, like, near the eye, round about there. You know, I don't know how you mess up shooting someone in the head. Especially if you're that close to them. So he somehow survives that, as we later find out. And then we finally get into what this show is about, which is... So this is 5 months later. So we've got 15 minutes left of the show. That was all just previously on and, you know, overly long backstory. So... So she comes in here, we realise, oh, she's got a wound. I guess knife? And the implication seems to be, when she gets where she's going, all the way to Oklahoma, so, like, she's been leaving, I don't know if this happened in New York. That seems to be what it was. I don't know if they're trying to tell me that from New York to Oklahoma, which is, what, over thousands of miles away, that she made it on a motorbike with this big wound inside her. It's like, you're not making that distance. So I don't know if we're just to assume that this happened on the way to Oklahoma. Because if they honestly want it to be, no, this happened in New York, it's like, nah, she's probably dead then. She should already be dead. I mean, you could see her falling asleep. And then she makes it to her old house. You know, we have to watch all this. You know, we have to watch her drive and then, you know, arrive, you know, take her helmet off, get off the bike, take the keys out, walk over to the house, get the spare key, open the door. You know, that's what we need to see. You know, we can't just skip that and assume that, oh yeah, she made it here, stepped off the bike and went in the house. You know, we can't just assume that. We have to see it. Right, so let me just finish this bit. So and she starts getting like visions, which we'll see more of once we go further into this season. She's discovered by one of her other cousins called Biscuits for some reason. And he's like, you know, where you been, what you up to? And he's just like, and she says, don't tell my grandmother that I'm here. Don't tell Bonnie. You know, I don't want anyone to know that I'm here, because I'm just on business. So that's when she goes down. You know, she's told her cousin, don't let anyone know I'm here. And then she starts walking about this town, and it's like, it seems to be a very small, tight-knit town where, you word spreads very quickly. And it's like she doesn't want anyone to know she's here, yet she's just walking about freely. She's not trying to hide herself. So she goes down to, well, she sees her cousin Bonnie. So at this point, you're like, oh, right, so we're probably going to do something with Bonnie, only to discover that, no, they're not really going to have a conversation at all. And then she goes to the local skate rink. She goes and talks to this guy. This guy's like, well, she's coming here to talk to some guy from years ago. He's like, can I get you a pair of shoes? He says, like, oh, he's not here. And then so this is Henry. This is probably the guy that I would make the show about. I would replace Marvel's Echo with Marvel's Henry, because this guy actually has something going on, something that is a lot more interesting, which I think that comes up like episode 4, so we're going to talk about that then. But he's probably the only somewhat interesting character in the entire show. So she goes up and talks to him. But they're going to go somewhere more private. But what do you know? This guy notices, for some reason, this guy that works at the skate rink, he's just an employee of the skate rink. He's got, ties to Kingpin. I don't know why, but he texts this guy, oh, I might have information on the woman that shot Kingpin. I might have information on that. So, like, we know that there's like a bounty out on her. I think it's like in this point where we know, all right, there's a bounty on her. So he's like, yeah, I've got information on that. So that's going to come up in episode 3. So he goes and talks to her. I'm going to have to refer to my notes, actually, on this one. Where is it? Yeah, I'm on the right one. Because I've got all my notes here, but because I've watched it twice, a lot of stuff I don't really need to refer back to. But I just need to remember what the fuck this conversation was about. All right, let me see where this is. Yeah, so all this is really, she goes in there, he realizes the wound that she has, and she gets this vet to come in and help her out. And then she tells him what she's really here for. They go up here, and she points out to him Wilson Fisk's shipping. So Wilson Fisk has a shipping yard in Oklahoma. I don't know why. I really don't know why he has a shipping yard all the way out here. It's like a lot of his stuff is very, it's all in New York. I don't know why he has a shipping yard just out here. But this is apparently something that we later find out that Henry sort of runs. Henry runs this for Wilson Fisk. So she points to this. She's like, I need one train car. Her plan is, as we later find out, she's going to rig it with explosives. So then when it gets to New York, it explodes and, does something that we'll talk about in the next episode. So that's what she wants. She wants one train car because that goes to New York. That she wants to use his route. So, she can use the one train car, send that there, big explosion. So first of all, you're like, right, so there's a bounty on you. Why do you want people to know where you are? What is it you want? We do find out in this scene that she says, Kingpin's had his run, it's time for a queen. The usual cringe lines. So she wants to be a big crime lord. So then you're thinking, right, so, because she phrases it in a way that I want to send a message to Kingpin's men. So you're like, well, what kind of message? When I first watched it, I was like, I guess she wants to convince them to come to her side. Put her at the top. Maybe that's what she wants. But no, she doesn't want that either. So you're just like, right, you're gonna cause an explosion, and it doesn't benefit you in any way. It really just shows, oh, you want to be this crime lord, you don't know how to get there. Instead, you have to have it be offered to you. You know, that's what we're later given. So that's what she wants to do. And the other thing you're thinking about, right? So if you're going to send these people a message, Kingpin's men are going to go, right, well, this particular train car was sent from our shipping yard in Oklahoma, using that route. So that's where this woman is that we're hunting down. That's where she must be. So that's going to bring them all the way up into Oklahoma, and that's going to put her entire family in danger. So it's just like, what the fuck is going on? Why do you want to put them in danger? You know, you're going to bring all of Kingpin's men, killers. You're going to bring them up here and onto the streets, where all your family is. You're endangering them right away. So then maybe you're thinking, right, so maybe they're going to do something like, she's, I don't know, she doesn't really value her family or something like that. So maybe that's going to be a realization. They have the realization without, setting anything up. That seems to be what it is by the end of it. So already that doesn't, and again, it's just like, right, Echo's a villain, but, villains still care about people. Thanos, it's like, he's not a good guy, but he does, he loves Gamora. In his own sort of twisted way, but it's like he still cares about, he still cares about her until he, has to kill her off. So it's the same here. It's like, well, I get she's a villain, but she still cares about people. So I wouldn't think that they would then endanger the people they care about. So it's just, already you would think, if you have that in your mind that, as she blamed herself for her mother's death, it's just like, it isn't quite consistent with that. It's like the complete opposite. But that's her plan. Henry, Henry seems to be smart enough to go, no, I'm not going to bring war here. That, like, he refuses to help her. He's like, I'm not bringing war up here to hurt more of the people that I care about. And she's just all pissed off by that. She just scowls like, he's not going to help me. It's like, yeah, well, yeah, because he doesn't want to see the people he cares about be caught in the crossfire. But she's just like all like pissed off like a teenager would be. And that's pretty much the first episode, and then you find out, oh, Kingpin's actually alive. Even though he's shot in the head, it's like, again, I'm just confused by how you would fuck that up. I don't really know. But he hasn't even lost an eye. I'm pretty sure his eye still works. It just seems to be bloodshot. But I'm pretty sure his eye still works. So I'm just like, I guess she shot him here. I don't really, I don't know. You've got a gun aimed at someone's head. I don't know how you manage to get the bullet here. I don't know how you manage that. But then again, it's like, I don't know. It's like, surely there should be some mark here that goes all the way along his head. Where the bullet went. I don't know how he still got his eye, because the bullet must have went in here. Unless it got caught in the, I got no idea. So that's got, and then to fill time at the end of every episode, it's this season on Echo. It's like fucking 5 minutes of credits. So that's why every episode isn't even that long. You generally on each episode, you'll have 1 minute of what happened in the previous episode. Then you'll have something in the show happen that isn't really consequential and is overly long. And then they have a minute and a half, sort of opening credits. And then you get the episodes where fuck all happens. And then you have about 5-6 minutes of closing credits. So every episode is like 30 minutes at the most. I think episode 1's probably the longest one, and it's like we got 15 minutes of what this show is about. We had half an hour of previously on what happened to Echo and Hawkeye. You know, a backstory. We just spent so long on that. But it's like I said, just they always just waste so much time with these shows. It's a waste of money. It really is. But let's open up to. We've already spent too long on fucking episode 1. I might have to I might have to fucking do half the season. But we'll see. So right, I'm looking for episode 2 here. Let me get that on. Oh shit! I almost fucking played the episode. But yeah, so that's what you've had in episode 1. You just Echo wants to be the new crime lord. She wants to send Kingpin's men a message that doesn't benefit her in any way. Just doesn't benefit her. What she wants is to be this big crime lord. So you open episode 2. You know, again, you get your big previously on. That's 1 minute 25 seconds with a previously on. We're now down to 37 minutes left. It's just like you've got 5 episodes. You haven't done shit. Why do you have a previously on? It's like shows usually have that if, like, first of all, it releases weekly, and second of all, if it had a load of stuff go on. Whereas it's like here, it's like, yeah, we didn't do anything in the previous episode. You don't need a previously on. You really don't. And that's the new Marvel Spotlight thing where they don't have to worry about canon because they don't have the ability to keep things within canon. That is what this Marvel Spotlight thing is, and it's like it doesn't even line up with canon for Daredevil. So it's like they've already fucked that up. You know, they wanted to tell stories where they didn't have to worry about that because they were more small scale. It's like, no, you fucked up canon again. You've managed to do it again when your intention was, oh, we're going to do something so that doesn't happen. And they still fuck it up. Right, so then... Yeah, so this... Right, so this is a 5 minute... This is what opens the episode. This goes on for 5 minutes. And it doesn't need to whatsoever. But this is in, like... I want to say... This is like Alabama at 1200 AD. So you've got all these natives. There's some sporting event going on. I do. You know, in that time period with a native, like, would there be a woman in this sporting event? You know, I'm just kind of thinking about it from historical. Well, is there any point in even that? There's no point even thinking about that, is there? But there's this big sporting event on, and to win, this woman is granted powers. As we're about to soon see, you know, we should see it in a second if we can get to it. But this goes on for 5 minutes. Like all this is doing is establishing these powers. And then in the episode, they then explain it when we just seen it. You know, we've seen it happen. We don't need it re-explained. You know, seeing it is better than just you telling us what it is. So that's what's happening. There's a big sporting event. Apparently, the people that lose will be exiled. Was that a game that they played? You know, the natives? Did they go, right, if you lose this, you're getting banished from our area? Right, why? You know, why would I even want to be a part of that, you know, that particular sport? I'd just go, no, I'll just do something else then. So they're all watching on. You know, I get it. I don't even know what sport this is. It's some fucking hockey. Looks a bit hockey-ish. So then, if I don't know why. Again, this goes on so long. I'm still trying to find the bit where she gets these. So yeah, so this woman here gets a load of flashbacks of the other Choctaw people, and she is then granted powers that are like these signs come up on her hand. She's granted these powers that then help her win the match. You know, she wins it, and now she'll be able to stay here. And it's just like, right, so you've got these people from long ago that grant powers to people, and they grant them to people for, like, oh, you want to win a sporting event, do you? Here's some powers. So it's like, already, these powers are just going to waste. You know, there's sort of multiple examples where these powers are given to things like, right, you gave them powers for that, just to win a sporting event. Or later in this episode, Echo gets her leg trapped. That's what you're using these powers for. You know, you're not actually giving them to people that need them. And that's at least what it seems like to begin with. I get there's a couple of examples where it's like, yeah, that made sense that you granted them powers. Because it's, you know, a life or death situation. It's like, yeah, fair enough. You're actually using them for a purpose there. But there's a lot of instances where it's just like, why did you grant powers then? Why did you grant powers for that? So that gives you an idea of what the power, the first Choctaw give out these powers. They have powers because they're aliens that were either inside the Earth or from a different planet. It could be anything, because we never find out. They grant these people powers, like people that need them, people that are, you know, a part of their particular tribe, and it's only women as well. You know, so if you're a guy in a life or death situation, you're on your own. That's basically what it is. It's only women that get it. You know, I would understand if it was like these powers get passed down, but it's not. People just randomly get access to them for a certain period. You know, maybe 10 minutes, maybe a couple of minutes. So like, if it was, you know, if it was more, you know, because I'm watching Buffy, I'm kind of thinking that, like, you could do something like Buffy, where it's like, oh, this was something that created it, you know, it passes down through generation to generation to the next Slayer. You know, you would do something like that and it makes sense. But when it's like, oh no, you get granted, you get like a 2-minute time limit on these powers. And it's like, right, so you have guys like maybe drowning, you know, it could be anything, and you're just like, oh, we're not going to help you. You could go fuck yourself. You know, that's just, you know, that again, it's just, it's really, that is just Marvel to a T, isn't it? You know, with every show or movie, it's always something like, it's very selfish. You know, these first Choctaw are very, I don't know, just twats, really. When it's like, you have these, you know, these other native guys, maybe they're in a life or death situation, and you don't want to help them out. It's just like, oh, if you got a pair of tits, we'll help you. You know, outside of that, you're on your own. So I would have made it more of a thing where it's like, oh, they've got, like, you know, these powers are passed down generation after generation. You know, one person gets it. They decide to give it to a murderer, which I'll never understand. Like, when Echo gets the power at the end, I'm just like, out of all the people you could give these powers to, you pick a villain. You pick a murderer. You don't pick someone that is already in some way heroic. You know, like Steve Rogers was picked. He was picked because, you know, even though he's small, he's still gonna, you know, try and save people. You know, he's already very heroic, and that's the reason why Steve Rogers was worthy of the powers that he was given. Whereas here, it's just like, right, you've given some murderer powers, rather than someone that actually deserves it. So even the people that are granting these powers, they're not picking people that are worthy of the powers. Which is that would have been a route I would have went down. That maybe these powers are something Echo finds out about, and then she gets them at the end of the season because the Choctaw have realized, oh, she's the right person to have these powers. You know, she's proved to us that she's the right person for these powers. But no, she just gets them. And it's just like, why? She's not a good person. You know, why would you give it to a villain? Why would you do that? You know, again, that's just something I'm confused by. So, yeah, already, you know, when we finally make it into the show, that's 7.5 minutes gone. That's what we spent 7.5 minutes on. Oh, these powers exist and they're granted to people. We took we took way too long to establish that. And then, you know, like I say, they then have someone tell you what it is. It's like, no, I already have the visual. I don't need anything else, you know, apart from that. So Echo's, you know, she wakes up. She's got a shopping list. You know, she keeps using her cousin to go and get her supplies because she doesn't want anyone to know that she's back, even though she just walked about town anyway. So she's like, I've got a list for you. And it's all sort of, oh, I need a little tiny camera. You know, I need tools. You know, I need tape. You know, it's kind of things like that. It's things that an axe murderer would buy. You know, that's what she wants her cousin to go and buy. You know, he's already went out to get her food. Now she's like, oh, can you do something more for me? And then she gets him to involve himself in criminal activity. So she just doesn't care. You know, the thing I get from her, she doesn't care about anyone but herself. You know, she's a very selfish person. You know, you could say villain-like, because that's what she is. So he gives him a load of money. This is probably one of the parts I'm just going to skip. You know, the stuff you kind of notice the stuff with her family is utterly useless. It's like, oh, we didn't need this. We didn't need any of this. But yeah, this is her, I want to say grandfather, but I'm not really sure. Yeah, he was married to her grandmother, but it doesn't seem like he's a grandfather. Maybe step-grandfather, that would probably be the better term. But again, that's one of those things that you never find out. You're just like, oh, well, he was married to her. They don't really talk like he's her grandfather. So yeah, you just got these people in to buy stuff. He's basically ripping them off. That's what he's up to. So Biscuits comes in. He's like, all right, I need a very tiny camera. You know, he wants one of those cameras that is on a wire. You know, you can poke through things, have a look about. That's what he's after. So he comes in, buys that. This is where Echo's grandmother finds out that she's in town. Because this guy's seen her, because Echo wasn't hiding, even though she said that's what her intentions were. So the grandmother finds out that she's in town. As we find out, the grandmother doesn't like Echo. You know, it seems to be, I guess she's a murderer. Maybe that's what it is. You know, we get more things later on, but I guess the thing is, like, you know, we have the grandmother saying things like, she's going to bring trouble with her. So she must know who her granddaughter is. But she doesn't seem to at the same time. I don't know. So, yeah, then Echo uses her cousin again. You know, I need you to help me on this job. You know, first of all, we have Henry and the grandmother sit down. You know, she's worried that Echo's going to bring trouble here. Henry tells her, oh no, she's just passing through. And the grandmother's like, right, good, I'm glad, I really hope that it's just passing through. So the grandmother, you know, it's just, there's a load of estrangement going on. And they feel the need to constantly bang that in. It's like, yeah, we get it. They're estranged. But like every episode, there is a pointless scene that just establishes that again. Every time it's just like, they're estranged. It's like, yeah, I got it the previous 5 times. So that's what her concern is. And then we go to the mission that Echo is on. She's gonna enact her plan at taking over Kingpin. She does it in a way that changes nothing. Literally doesn't change a thing. So she gives her cousin a device to be able to follow her, because she is going to jump onto a train. You know, she swings down. Again, every time I see a train in something, it always pisses me off. Because we always do, it's, you know, I kind of call it the old train trope, where it's like, oh, we're going to have a person get on a train and run across it when it's going at like 100 miles an hour. It's like, yeah, it doesn't work that way. Like it seems to have ramped up in recent years, where we have this, oh, we've got to have a fight on a train or someone running on a train. It's like you have 100 mile per hour winds coming in your face. You're getting a load of dust in your eyes. You're getting blown back. You know, that's what happens on a train. But they just do it in everything. I mean, last year we had Indiana Jones and Mission Impossible do it. It's just like, that's not how trains work. You know, every time it just makes me think of the Archer episode where he's always wanted to fight on top of a train. And then he realizes what the fuck that is. You know, getting all this shit in his eyes, his gun, losing his gun and all that. It's like, that's what you're kind of dealing with here. But she just starts running along it. They do it in so much. It's probably one of my pet peeves now, just because it happens so much. So you got these guys guarding it. So she's running, she's jumping. None of these guys, they're just oblivious to these big thuds on these metal containers. It's like, really? They don't hear that. So she's running along there. She hooks herself to the bottom of one of the train cars. She cuts a little hole, puts a camera in it, has a look about, and like, yeah, this is the train car that I want. I mean, you would make sure you knew that before you'd done this, because it's like you're in a position, you're underneath the train. It's like it's going to be a lot of hassle if you're like, oh, wrong one. Oh, I got to climb back up again, go over there and climb back down again, tie myself to the bottom, cut a hole, oh no, wrong one, and then, you know, just continue that. So maybe make sure you know beforehand. She gets in here. She opens what appears to be, well, we find out it's like it's a weapons crate, something like that, and she rigs it with an explosive. She then gets out, and then she gets back on top of the train, runs along it again, because you can do that on a train. And then the dumb bitch manages to get I don't know. I honestly, I don't know how she managed this. She gets her foot caught in the, you know, in this little connector, like in the train car connector. She gets her foot stuck there. It's like, it wasn't even a big jump either. It wasn't a big jump, so I'm just like, right, how did you manage that? But it's the purpose for this is so we can show Echo being granted these powers, even though she's a serial killer. She's a murderer, not a good person. But she gets granted powers, and they go to the best of uses. You know, she needed these powers to get out of this situation. This was a life or death situation. Although it wasn't. She could have just took her fake leg off. Just take your leg off. You're free. But they, yeah, so that's like another point where it's just like, right, these powers are going to waste. They're wasting them on, oh, well, this person has a fake leg. So we'll give her powers that seem to grant some type of strength, and then she can pull her leg out. Rather than, oh no, she can just take the fake leg off, she's fine. You know, she isn't in any danger. Isn't in any danger at all. So, yeah, fake leg's trapped, she's granted powers, she sees, you know, all these visuals in her head of Choctaw people, and then that grants her the power to push the thing off. So at the moment, it's like, right, so these powers have some type of strength. That's one of the things to point out. She's then running with this damaged leg. You know, just jump off. You know, why not? So she's going through here. The cousin Biscuits is following her, trying to catch up. This is really, there's some really weird editing. So it's like, yeah, this is what they have happen. It's like, you're just going to go flying off that. I don't think you're going to not just go straight flying backwards. But they just do this big, very grounded show, this. I'm trying to figure out where this editing is. Because there's a bit of, like, really weird editing. Like she jumps off sort of from, like, he's over at this side. Like he's over here looking. It's like, no, she's from, what we're seeing, she's just jumping straight at you. So I don't know what that fucking editing was about. But he manages to catch her. She jumps back in the thing. It's like, yeah, you're probably coming out of that with a bit of an injury. Like with jumping that distance into a car. That's gotta hurt. That's gotta really damage you. But she's fine. She managed to cling on. She laughs. You've got this. This is some new guy that works for Kingpin, called Zane. That's his name, Zane. He's told, right, the new shipments are in. This is the New York shipping yard. They sort of leave it, and then it just explodes when they open it. And they're like, what the fuck was that? So it just causes this big explosion. And, well, we find out a bit more. We'll get to it. So Henry finds out about this, what happened in the New York shipping yard. Because he works at this one. He works for Kingpin. Or at least forced to. So he's told about that. And they're like, we're gonna be getting blamed for this because it came from our shipping yard. So he's like, right, this will all land on me. You guys ain't got to worry about anything. And then we have Echo's gone to her maybe grandfather about getting a new leg. She wants her leg fixed because it's fucked. We must. That's very exciting to get into the details of. Let's go shopping with Echo while she picks up a new leg. Let's spend 5 minutes on that. That fan dabby dozy. So he's like, I want that. He's like, oh, I've missed you these past 20 years. I missed having you around. Even though you don't really talk, so because Henry's found out about what's happened, he's like, right, this was clearly her. We need to talk right now. He's pissed off about this because he's like, this is gonna bring blowback all the way up here. You've already endangered your family by letting the bad guys know that you're here. Yeah, she's just like, they hit me, I hit back. You haven't achieved anything by doing that, though. How does that get you to be a crime lord? Her thing seems to be, I don't know if there's another text. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so Henry says, they'll know this was you. You can't take on Fisk's army alone. And she's like, oh, they can't do much with their armory melted. Right, so when they come here, they've all got guns. So you haven't changed anything. You blew up a shipping yard that had some guns in it. What, you think Kingpin can't get guns from anywhere else? Like, on the fly? You think Kingpin doesn't already have guns, or his men, you don't think any of them already have guns? So I don't really know what the logic is here. I don't know what the logic is. It's just like, oh, I melted their armory. They can't do much now. It's like, no, they turn up with guns. So that did nothing. That was pointless. That was a waste of time, what we just watched. When it achieves nothing. All it does is let them know where you are. And it doesn't get you any closer to becoming the next Kingpin. To becoming the next big crime lord of New York. Even though, I don't know why you'd want to do that, because you can't do that. You can't talk. So I don't really see how you're going to do well on that front. Second of all, it's like, right, so you've blown up their armory. That sent a message to them that, oh, hi, I'm up here, come and get me. I want to be the crime lord, right? So I'm just failing to see how that helps you achieve that dream of yours to be a crime lord. What did that do? How did that benefit you? You just pissed them off. You just inconvenienced them slightly. That's all you've really done. I get, this isn't the action you take when you want to be the big crime lord. You got to get people on your side. This doesn't do that. This just enrages people more because you're fucking with their with their work. That's what you're doing. So that's why when I first watched episode 1, I was like, right, so she's like, when she first said, "Oh, I've got to send a message," I thought, "Oh, what is she gonna like try and convince them to work for her?" You know, maybe that's the angle, because that would be the best angle to go. You need people on your side. You know, at this point in time, she doesn't know Kingpin is alive. You know, she doesn't know that in fact Kingpin is not dead. You know, she doesn't know that yet. But it's like, if he was, it's like they're not going to turn on Kingpin. They're just not. He's too dangerous. Although in this show, you probably wouldn't think that. So yeah, she's done. So that whole job was meaningless. That's why I was thinking, oh, she's gonna try and convince these guys to come to her side. But no, it's just like, no, I'm just gonna piss him off, blow up a building, and that's it. Endanger my family, and nothing more. And again, that's a common thing throughout the show. It's like, especially when she wants to be a crime lord, she does nothing to achieve that goal. Like she takes no steps in achieving that. You know, nothing logical. Just like, oh, there was I don't know, something happened there. So yeah, that was a waste of time. You know, he's built her this leg now. He's like, that's just temporary. I'm gonna, you know, this will just do until I make the proper thing, to fully patch it up. Then she comes across one of these statues. So these are the aliens, the native aliens. I don't know what to refer to them as, because I don't know if they're aliens. You know, what are they? Were they mud people? Because they look to be like covered in mud. You know, what were they? So she sees this statue, and then she has a grandfather, maybe, explain to her about the first Choctaw. So let me just grab the episode 2, the notes I've got for episode 2, just so I can remember this. Yeah, so the explanation he gives, you know, it's basically what we've seen. It's there was a cave coming down on top of them, and then they escaped. You know, they made it out. And they turned into humans. So they must be aliens. Because he says, they were, you know, they were in a cave. That still doesn't explain what the fuck they are then. You know, I don't know what type of species they are. So he's like, you know, they then turned into humans. Right, so it's, you know, it's already just fucking mystical bullshit again. So yeah, that's what he says. They turned into humans, and he says that your grandmother, she traced her lineage all the way back to the first Choctaw, the woman that we've seen. You know, that's how far back this goes. You know, she has a connection to it. And it's just like, you know, you can never predict when they'll come and help you out. Although they're not going to help him out because he's got a cock. You know, he's done. You know, he's not going to get any help outs. You know, they're not going to go, this guy's about to die. Should we help him? Yeah, I think we should. No, he's just like, no, that one's got a cock. Can't help him. He's fucked. So he's just like, you never know. You can never predict when they show up. And I'm just like, of course you've done it that way. You know, every time it's always done in a way that, like, to make it easier for them. So it's like, whenever we conveniently need powers, you know, that's when it will appear. We don't want to have any consistent rules for it. It's just like, right, how do we get Echo out of this situation? Oh, she's granted powers at this point in time. So that seems to be, it's just an excuse for, we can use them whenever we want. It doesn't actually have to make any sense. But yeah, it's just like, right, so we spent 5 minutes seeing the visual of what these powers are, and then we just explained to, you know, what was going on again. You know, every time it's just like, we've got to keep repeating it, you know, it wastes some time, and especially if you've got people signing it. So and she's like, amazed at that, because she was granted powers or something at some point for some reason, even though she didn't deserve it. So you get all this, because the car that Biscuits was driving was his grandmother's. He's done it in a bit. It's a bit destroyed. So he's he wants to sell his PlayStation to make some money, to pay for the parts to fix it up. And he does this over the radio. He's like, "Does anyone want to buy a PlayStation?" And then he mentions Echo. You know, he mentions his cousin Bonnie is, I think, is she a firefighter or something? I'm honestly not even sure because she's barely in it, but she seems to work in, you know, she's not. I don't think she's not a cop. She must be a firefighter, something like that. So she hears this over the radio and she's like, "What?" You know, she's in town. So you're like, "All right, well, so we're gonna have a, you know, there's gonna be a lot of conflict between those two. They're gonna have, you know, some heartfelt, you know, emotional, you know, conversations." No. There is none of that, even though it's clearly set up to be that way. So that's what happens. She's, yeah, so she must be a firefighter, if I can fucking see it. Where is it? City of Tamaha, Haskell County. I have to assume she's a firefighter. I don't know. Wait, could we see anything there? Oh no, she's a paramedic. Right, that's what she is. I could not. I the whole time I was watching this show, I didn't know what she worked as. So she's a paramedic. That's how she hears this over, you know, over the radio. And then Echo, she's sitting up. She's having a sandwich. Henry comes in. He's like, "What the fuck have you done? You know, what have you done here? You know, this is going to have major blowback. You know, this is going to endanger people. I don't want to see anyone else die because of this. But you've went ahead and done it anyway." So I just need to go to the bits. This is another bit that I've just kind of forgotten somewhat about. Where are we? It's a bit because my notes are harder to look at. See, because it's basically they're like scripted. I'm basically reading a script. Because I was originally going to do a video on it, I done like all the scripts for it, and then was like, "Fuck that! I'm not wasting a week editing a video for Echo." So that's why it's all harder to fucking find stuff, because it's not just, you know, bullet points. It's not in bullet points. So I've got to keep looking and reading through all this stuff to figure out where we are. So yeah, so Henry is just annoyed about all this chaos that she's causing. You know, we already know Echo doesn't give a shit anyway about. She doesn't seem to care about her family or anything whatsoever. And her response to him, you know, talking about, you know, all this chaos, she just says, "I say when it starts and when it ends. That's not chaos. It's power." And it's just like, you're in no position to say when something starts and ends. You know, especially not against Kingpin and all his men. Pretty sure they're the ones with all the power here, not you. So that's kind of a thinking. It's like, oh, I say when it's I'm in control here. No, you're not. You're not in any control. No control whatsoever. You know, in fact, you've given them the control by allowing them to know your whereabouts. They now have the control. All right, let me see where we are. So yeah, and then Henry sort of, you know, he's like, "Oh, I'm fucking done with you." He storms off. You know, she's just oblivious to the, you know, points that he's making. He's like, "You know, you sound like Kingpin. You know, that's who you sound like here." And then sort of when he's about to drive off, he says to her like, you know, you seem to have forgotten that the people closest to you are the ones that get hurt. So I guess he means her dad. You know, she blamed herself for her mum, and I'm just like, yeah, this is kind of the very contradictory to what we've been shown. You know, if you're a kid and you've blamed yourself for the death of your mother, even though you know you're not actually to blame, it's like you would think you would kind of take that throughout life, and you'd do your best to make sure you know, the people closest to you don't get hurt. Whereas here, it's like she went out of her way to cause them pain, you know, at least to come. So it just seems like really contradictive to me. So she's like angry about that. So she sees this swing and she shoots at it. She gets some text messages from Bonnie. She doesn't text her back. Fuck that, even though you apparently like my sister. And then, yeah, she sees like, I think she sees like another vision as well. So yeah, we're going to find out about this person in the next episode. And what do you know? It's cookie cutter Marvel sludge. It's basically, again, the same stuff we've seen. It's, here's a woman that she's been told she can't do anything. And then she gets powers, so now she can do it. And it's like, I just kind of think of that, and it's like, that's more offensive, isn't it? You're basically saying, see, a woman can't do anything unless she is given mystical powers. That's basically what they're saying with how these powers work. Because that's like what this is like. This part here is what we get in the next episode, which I suppose I'll save it for them. But that's the sort of thing that they, you know, you had this in the sporting event at the start of this episode. It was, you know, the woman that wanted to win the match. You know, there was this, you know, there was a man there that said, "Oh, you can't beat me because you're a woman," and then she's granted powers to win. So it's like kind of a very similar situation, although this is actually a life or death situation. And again, it's just the same thing. It's like it's this native woman told by her dad that's a policeman. You know, it's like I forget what you call them, but it's like the native police force. And her dad says, "Oh no, you know you're a woman. You know it's your job to give life, not take life." So she's like all pissed off, like, I can't do it because I'm a and then she's given powers to be able to do it. And it's just like, you know, if you're going for this sort of female empowerment thing, it's like you're doing the opposite. You're saying that a woman can't do anything unless they're handed mystical powers. That's how incompetent these writers are that Marvel hire. They're so incompetent. They really are. But let's open up the next episode. I'm surprised it took us this long to get through the first two, to be honest. Right, I'm looking for episode 3. So let me just apply these. Got to apply the subtitles. So, yeah, we get another previously on. So, you know, we'll kind of go through this a bit. But yeah, so you have this, again, this is another fucking giant waste of time. It's another 5 minutes gone of an episode once you're done with this. But it's just like, in the late 1800s, Indian country was infested with dangerous criminals threatening the safety of their native nations. So essentially they decided, right, we're gonna start up our own police force that are called the Light Horsemen. We're gonna rid our lands of all these degenerates, all these criminals, to protect our people. So you've got a guy, you know, this is her dad that's one of these Light Horsemen. She seems to be a very good shot at, I think she throws a boomerang or something like that. She throws a stick. She's got very good aim. And she's like, the time is right, father. I am ready to join you. You know, I don't even think a woman in that time period would even want to. You know, it doesn't really seem like that would be the case in that time period. But so her dad's like, no, women are life givers, men are life takers. And again, it's always framed in a way, it's like, oh, this fucking man not letting me do this. It's like, no, he's got good reasons for this. You know, he cares about you. He doesn't want to see you, be put in danger. You know, you're his daughter. But it's always treated as a piece of shit. It's like, no, he's protecting you. He's trying to protect you. That is what he's doing. But again, it's this very childish outlook. Like every time with you know, a lot of Hollywood stuff, it's always treated in the most childish way with things like, you can't do it. You're. It's like, well, no, that's not the reason, though, is it? There's a lot more to it than that. But no, it's just like, nah, fuck him, piece of shit. How dare he want to protect his daughter? What a bad person. So yeah, that's kind of where he's coming from. So I don't want to put you in any danger. But no, it's like, fucking man always putting down a woman. So then, we see this scene. A father is gone off with his police force. They're hunting down these criminals, but it turns out to be an ambush. So she's given powers. She somehow knows exactly where they are. I don't know how she knows that. I guess another one of the powers is locating people. So she gets these powers because she couldn't do it as a woman. That's what the show's telling me. That's not me saying it. That's the show. So she comes along, she takes them all out, and then they all like cheer, and accept her. And I'm just like, 5 minutes on that, really? 5 minutes, okay. If you want to waste time like that, and again, it's just like, right, yeah, we did that already. You're just showing me someone else that wielded these powers. But someone that do they deserve it? I guess I'd need more on who the person is. I mean, out of all of them, she probably deserved it the most because she actually wanted to, she wanted to help people. Whereas, first Echo's a killer. She doesn't want to help anyone. And the first woman she wanted to win a game of hockey. So, at least with that one, this person actually somewhat deserved it. So we get our big intro, and then we get in. I'm kind of glad we start episode 3 with this, because we can move very quickly on. Because, it's just the grandmother. She's like, oh, you know that she's back, don't you? You spoke to her. And he says to her, you should go and see her. And then he's like, you don't realise how alike you two are. And that's something that gets said so many times. That Echo is so alike her mother. Or she's so alike her grandmother. She's not, though. Her grandmother isn't a murderer. So I don't even know how you can say they're alike. They're just not alike. Not alike at all. So, yeah, she's just like, she's bringing trouble to her. She's like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to, Echo. And he says, well, maybe you shouldn't talk. Maybe you should listen for once. That's all that is. Again, I've got little, there's really nothing to invest yourself in with her family. The same goes for Echo. It's just her family's a bit more boring. Or just as boring. So we find out that, right, this Zane guy that works for Kingpin has called this guy, said, does your bounty check out? I'm coming down. I want you to have her prepared. He wants her to, sort of get her ready for him so he can just come in, get her, kill her. That's what he wants. So this guy's got to figure out a way to kidnap Echo. And he can do that very easily because you can sneak up on her because she's, deaf. She's not very, you would think if you were deaf, you would try and be a little more aware of your surroundings. What's behind me? You're kind of a bit more vigilant. Not Echo, though. She's just walking about this place. I'm just like, what the fuck is your plan? Right, you did the thing by blowing up that. What are you doing next? What is your plan? There's no plan whatsoever. There seems to be, even though you've told me there's a goal, there doesn't actually seem to be. It seems to be, all right, the director told her to go and stand over there, face away, and then a guy will come up behind you and kidnap you. That's how it comes across. There's nothing natural about it. It's like she's just walking around. What is her plan here? What are her plans? We're on episode 3 now. I don't know what the fuck she's up to, other than what she said, but she hasn't actually put into effect. And we are 3 episodes in. So she starts seeing visions, and then she gets grabbed with, chloroform. They knock her out. She's done. She then wakes up. Why have they hung her up here? I'm a bit confused why why would you hang the person up there as opposed to just tying them up? I especially ask this because they move her to another room. So it's like, you went to all this trouble to hang her from the ceiling, I guess for a good visual maybe. And then you're going to move her anyway. That seems like a lot of work to go to. A lot of effort to go to for when you don't have to. So she's being hung upside down. She's cut down. They come over, and she's like, "What the fuck is going on? I never thought to learn to read lips, so I'm just confused. What is going on?" That's why you should probably learn to read lips. And I believe someone like Echo should be able to learn to read lips, because what we're shown in this episode is she's, resourceful in some sense. She makes a gun. Like, she actually makes a gun, yet she can't read lips. I don't understand. So they're having some chat. We don't know what it is. They take her into a mini gym, tie her up. This woman, this Miss Piggy lookalike, she has Echo's foot. So she has a leg. Echo is sitting down on the ground, zip-tied to this thing, this machinery that I hope is actually attached to the floor. And you're not just gonna, we keep your leg. Instead, this woman looks at her and just throws her the leg. Like, why would you do that? Why would you make it easier for her to escape? You do understand that when someone has one leg, they're fucked. They are not going to be able to run. They're going to be able to hop, meaning they can't get anywhere very fast. You're also dealing with someone that is good at fighting. If you take their leg away, they are fucked. So keep the leg. That way you don't have to worry about anything. You will have no concerns. But instead you're like, oh, I'm going to throw this boot down to you that happens to have a knife in it as well, so you can escape. I'm going to throw this within your reach. That's what I'm going to do, because this couldn't possibly end well. Yeah. So, yeah, that's, again, it's just, like, so fucking retarded. Every time with Marvel stuff, it's like, all these, like, people that, whether it's kidnapping someone, they're always the most useless people. Not 1 ounce of common sense. Where it's like, right, I've got a person that has one leg, take the fake leg away, oh, my job's done. That makes my job easier. So even if she does get free, I can just push her on the floor, and she's done. She's out of the game. But now I'm going to hand her it back, because that's the only way we can get her to escape. So, unluckily, Bonnie comes over. She's, like, knocking on the door. She's like, Henry, Henry, where are you? Because Henry's he's also got a gag in it. He's been gagged. So she comes around the back. She comes in, and they get Henry to, they basically tell Henry, we'll fucking hurt her if you indicate to her or tell her, what's going on here. So he goes and talks to her. Again, this is really the only instance where sign language comes in handy. It's the only part where it's like, oh, they smartly used the sign language. It actually had some type of meaning, although very small. He sort of talks to her, but at his side, he's doing, like, sign language saying, get out of here. This is fucking dangerous. There's at least they used it for something. Because, apart from that, it's just been nothing, really. Echo really hasn't used anything to her advantage, other than everyone around her is a moron. So yeah, I think, yeah, Bonnie goes out and she starts trying to contact people through the radio. They realize that she's doing this and then take her out. It's like, yeah, you should. Why don't you get in the car and do it? That way you wouldn't have got grabbed. They wouldn't have suspected you. So now she's caught. She gets pushed into the room. Echo sees her. Remember, these two haven't spoke to each other in 20 years. They lead very different lives. Bonnie's reached out to her and has never heard back. There's a lot of conflict there to deal with. We're not really going to deal with that in this series. Maybe it will happen in season 2 of Echo, which I'm definitely sure is going to happen. So yeah, Bonnie sees her. Nothing is really said. Instead, Echo goes, right, now I'm going to grab my leg that the kidnappers retardedly left there on the floor, that allows me to be mobile. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to use because she's got a little knife inside it. Like a knife sticks out that bit. So she gets free. She gets Bonnie out of her zip ties. And then she starts looking around for a way out. She's looking for all this stuff, like how can we get out here? She starts, Bonnie's trying to talk to her. Maybe not the best time. You are held hostage at the moment. So it may not be, the best time, but Bonnie's trying to talk to her, like, where you been? Yeah, after your dad died, I reached out and you never got back to me. She does all this in sign, so it's a lot more annoying to watch. Because it takes so long to get a piece of information out. So yeah, she's just like, stop looking for a way out of here. Then Echo turns around. She's like, look, I came here. I didn't want you to know I was here. It didn't make, I'm just here on business. It didn't make sense to, cause mayhem to your life, which you've done since you came here. You've already done it. Regardless if you already, blew up that armory that let people track you here. It's like that guy at the employee at the skate rink thing. He seen you, said, oh, she's in town. So that was already bringing people up here. So it's like, you've already done that. I don't know how you can say, oh, I was just here on business. I didn't want to, cause any upset to your life. It's like, well, you have. You have, and you should have known that that's what you were doing. You were bringing a bunch of criminals up here. That's what you were doing. So I find it funny she's got the nerve to say that. So Bonnie's like, you can't even look me in the eye. She's just like, I would have been there after your dad died. All that types of stuff. We cut over to Henry, and Henry's saying to this guy, this ain't going to turn well for you and all that. He's like, listen, there was a bounty going. You didn't pick it up, so I did. And Henry's like, you really think Kingpin's going to pay you? That you think you're going to get paid here? And then we cut back over to them. So they're all now loose. And for some reason, a reason I still have yet to figure out, because it turns out one of them that has been sitting outside the door heard noises, so they've went to go and get someone. They've come in with a gun. Like, what the fuck is going on here? And then this guy. So this guy is, he's about to text the guy, the Zane that's coming to get Echo. And then for some reason, his friend knocks his phone out of his hand, and I still don't know why she done that. I still don't have an answer. Why did she just knock his phone out of his hand? And then you have, to make matters worse, Echo picks it up. It's like, right, you didn't need that phone. You did not need that phone. You grabbed it right in front of them, and they now know that you're free. They now know that your restraints are gone. They should already know that based on the fact that you have your fucking leg on. So why have you just given yourself away? So that's just that scenario right there. I don't know why anyone was doing anything there. That guy's like, all right, I'm gonna message this guy, say we've got or tell, see where he is, whatever. And then his friend goes, right, I'm gonna bang that phone out your hand, because I don't want you texting. Again, don't know. There's no reason for that whatsoever. And then it's like, right, so you've done it so Echo can get this phone, but then it's like, well, Echo doesn't need that phone. How does this get her out of her current predicament? How does this get her out of this situation? It doesn't. It doesn't. Or you've made it worse because they know, oh fuck, she's loose. And by the way, they don't think, all right, well we're gonna fucking tie you even more. No, they leave her untied. They just leave her in the room untied, with her leg on. Absolute incompetent, really incompetent. So yeah, that's how Echo finds out that, oh, someone's coming for me, because Bonnie does have a hearing. Here's the, oh, this guy's on his way, coming to get her, you know, this, that, and the other, and then she relays this to Echo. Because Bonnie's saying, listen, I can talk to her. Echo says, all right, I'm gonna punch you, Bonnie. I'm gonna hit you. She does this for no reason, doesn't really gain any advantage. I guess all it does, it gets Bonnie out of the room. Like, they take Bonnie out of the room because they think, oh fuck, they're having some dispute here. We don't want to deal with this. So it's just got, right, so why did you do that then? What was the point in that? I don't really know why she done that. So it turns out Zane is finally here. Yeah, they also have this fucking stupid idiot. So Echo punches Bonnie, and then she throws the phone at this fat woman. She throws the phone, and then she fucking clumsily does all this. It's like, what the fuck? And then Echo kicks her. For some reason, she does a big roundhouse. I don't know why. That's one thing you notice about the actress fighting in this show. She's very slow. Like, that kick right there, she turned around very slow to do that kick. I mean, you know, especially in that situation, it's like, if you want to kick that woman, even though that gains you no advantage anyway, you may want to do it quick. Be very quick, but no. So they run out, they leave her in there, don't bother to tie her up, nothing like that. And they leave, because Zane is finally here. Echo finds that thing. She's going to make a little gun, yet she can't lip read. So Zane's people come in. You know, he comes in. He's doing all the. You know, they seem to be going with quirky. You know, that's kind of how he comes across. But he comes in. He's like, "Where is she?" This guy's like, "Oh, do you have the money?" And that Zane guy's like, "No, we have. You know, we have a sort of." Thing that we do, we don't bring the money with us. You know, we have the money in a safe location. I'm just kind of like, why? You're a load of guys with guns. This is a guy that poses no threat to you. So why would you not just bring the money in anyway? I think it's because, you know, they're not going to pay him. They're not going to pay him anyway. Which I don't really see. You know, if it is in fact, if Kingpin is, you know, Kingpin's been awake for 2 episodes. Well, 3 episodes now. So it's like this. The assumption is that Kingpin has sort of told them what to do. I don't really see Kingpin sort of fucking over this guy, because it's just like, if you get a name for not holding up your end of the bargain, you know, if you've got a bounty out there, someone catches them, you don't pay them. It's like people are now going to go, why the fuck am I going to help Kingpin? You know, he's not going to pay me. He's going to kill me. So I don't really know what but you know, these guys are just like, nah, we're going to kill you, or at least they're not letting him know that. So instead of doing what they came here to do, instead they're like, no, right. First of all, we've got to give Echo time to escape. You know, we've got to give her a load of time to escape. So we're going to take a tour of this skate rink. Rather than just do our fucking job. Rather than go, you know, listen, skate rink employee, because I don't know his name. Tell me where fucking Echo is now, or I will fucking shoot your brains out. Because this Zane guy, the whole time he's walking around the skate rink, he's like, right, can you tell me where Echo is? Where's Echo? Tell me where she is. He never once thought, no, I'll just put a gun to his head. Tell me where the fuck she is. I'm here for her. I'm not pissing about. I'm not walking around looking for her myself. But that's what they're doing. They're not just taking a tour of the place. They are looking for Echo. Rather than just say to the guy, fucking tell me where she is. That's all you got to do. Don't waste my time with this. That's what this, how this person is characterized. That's what you would do. You just say, tell me where the fuck this girl is. What I don't know why you'd give opportunities to escape. You know, I don't know why you do that. So that goes on for some time. So we jump back to Echo. She's making a gun. That only comes in handy for smashing a light. That's all it does. She spent all this time engineering this gun-like contraption, and she just uses it to shoot out the little window and smash the light that is above one of the kidnappers. So it doesn't even really come in that handy. So yeah, so she shoots out there, the light smashes, come down, and then this dumb fuck thinks, I know what to do. I'll enter this room alone against this person that, you know, if I kept a leg, she'd only have one leg. But she's got two legs. She knows how to fight quite clearly. I'm going to go in there all on my own. The lights have gone off. There's no lights on. I'm just baffled that I wouldn't do that. If I had someone hostage in a room, you know, myself, you know, I know that they're good at fighting. All the lights have gone out. I'm not going in that room. I'm just going to go, well, no, she's clearly trying to get me to go in there. You know, that is clearly what she's up to here. She wants me to go in there so then she can take me out and then escape. So why would you risk yourself like that? You know, for all you know, she could just kill you. So, yeah, I don't know why you would do that, but yeah, these are just really dumb idiots. So the guy's girlfriend gets really pushy. She's like, oh, get us the money. I don't know who she reminds me of, like Medusa or something. I don't know why. I think it's the green eyes, and probably what her hair's like. But I just see her. I'm like, oh, I know. I tell you what she looks like. Out of Monsters Inc. Starts with an R. What the fucking hell? It's been so long since I've watched Monsters Inc. You know, it's like the villain in that film, Randall. Yeah, it's Randall, isn't it? Yeah, she looks a bit like a woman version and human version of Randall. It's sort of the teeth and the eyes. So they're all sitting there. You know, Zane knows Henry, so he's like, you know, tell me where Echo is. You know, fuck this guy. You can tell me where she is. It's like, Zane, just get your gun, point it at his head, go, you know, you're already planning on killing him anyway. So why haven't you just done that? He instead goes, nah, I'm now finally gonna kill this guy. Yeah, Echo, you know, sends him this message. Okay, I don't know why you did that. Maybe it's better people don't know that you've escaped. Maybe that's better. You know, that gives you can get them by surprise then. So he's starting to say, right, how about this? Where's this money? And then he shoots him. And that's about as bloody as it really gets. Is, oh, look at this guy's been shot and there's blood coming out. All right. So now he's asking them, but then the red lights and that turn on and heavy rock music starts playing. So they're like, fuck, she's here. She's escaped because we took all this time taking a tour of the place rather than just grabbing her. So they start going through this bit. And then this is the only part of this action scene that actually works. You know, that's the only part. This is the only part. It's like, it's dark. You know, there's weird colors. She's able to pick them off one by one. You know, that's the only part of it that makes any type of sense. It's sort of, once it goes through into this big room. So what we're dealing with again is you've got this big, massive, empty space. You've got a load of guys with guns. You've got one person, one target. How is it that you fail at every turn? How is it you have about 8 guys shooting at the same time and all miss her? Why is it that instead of stay at the range you're at, you know, like what guns are used for, they're to be used from a distance? You know, knives are what you use up close, not guns. Don't use your guns as knives, but that is what they do. You know, every fucking Marvel project does this, and it becomes so annoying. Where it's just like, I'm gonna run at you with my gun. I'm not gonna actually use my gun for what it's intended for. You know, I'm not gonna use the gun to better my position. So they just run at her. So then she's clearly the better fighter. You know, she knows karate, as we've seen in the overly long backstory. She knows karate. So why would you want to risk yourself getting beat by running at her when you have a fully loaded gun? You can just stand over there, shoot, dead straight away, and you've got this big open space where Echo. There's a reason why I'm pointing out big open space, because we're gonna have a look at the Daredevil fight in a minute. But it's a big open space. They don't do that. I mean, there's one guy in the background. I don't know if I can find it. But yeah, you have these guys nicely lined up for her. But I want to see if I can see this, because it's I just kind of caught it. But it's like, yeah, why would you not have your gun out already? Why would you wait till now? So yeah, she shoots one guy with this thing. That's the only thing that she does with it. After that, it's like, oh, right, I'm done with that now. So she shoots the fuck off. Shoots the gun out of his hand. And then yeah, what guy is it? Yeah, it's like this guy here starts like fumbling and all that. It's like, what the fuck? You're fucking terrible. So, yeah, there's all of that. They take ages to bring their gun. It's like, right, she turned on the music. It's like she's clearly doing that. She's clearly trying to confuse her. Why would you not already have your gun out at the ready? Just be prepared. I don't know why you go, she's there. She's picking up a gun. She's aiming at me. All right, now I'll bring my gun out. It's like, no, have it out already. You had multiple instances where you could just kill her. They don't do any of that. So then it's just, you know, again, it's just a bad impression of Daredevil fights. There's a reason Daredevil fights are so good, because the people making them know what the fuck they're doing. You know, they know what to think about. They know how to cover things. They're very, very talented people. Whereas, you know, I don't know the people Marvel are hiring. You know, I can't really say if the people that coordinate these fights are good or not. You know, because maybe it is just Marvel are like, that'll fucking do. You know, maybe it is they just have limited amount of time. But saying that, it's like the first Daredevil fight in season 1, the hallway fight, that was done in a day and a half. That was filmed in a day and a half, and it's fucking brilliant. It is a top tier action scene. So it's like, that's really not an excuse if you have limited time. If other people have the ability to produce something of high quality. So yeah, I can't really say, you know, what the reason for all this. You know, a lot of it's, you know, again, it's probably just the writer. They're probably just following what the script says. And not really thinking about it too much. So she's just running through guys. Again, a gun in your hand. Do not run at the karate maniac. Do not run, because you're going to get beaten. She's going to knock the gun out of your hand. So just don't do it. But no, they keep doing it. They every single one does it. Look, guy with a gun. Oh, I'm going to run at you. What? Why? Stop doing it. So then, yeah, the fight finally comes to an end because Zane has Bonnie, you know, threatening Bonnie. And I'm just thinking, right, Zane, you could have avoided this entire mess if you just put a gun to Bonnie's head straight away. You know, as soon as everything started, you just grabbed Bonnie, gun to her head, saying, "Stop this shit." And this would have all been out. This wouldn't have even happened. So why? I don't know why you didn't do that. I don't know why you'd have the majority of your guys put down. I really don't understand it. So yeah, he's now got them. You know, they're down. He's got them. Just as he's about to kill them, he's conveniently called, and the whoever's on the phone, it's obviously Kingpin, says to him to let her go, let Echo go. And I'm just thinking, right? So you know, if Kingpin sent these guys here, why didn't he think to tell them beforehand? By the way, don't kill her, because if this phone call came 10 seconds later, Echo would be dead. And that would be it. So I don't know why they didn't go in with a plan. Right, we don't want the boss doesn't want her dead. He just wants her captured. You know, that's all he wants. So right, we know that. Instead, it's like, nah, Kingpin didn't tell us anything. He thought, no, I know. I'll maybe wonder. Right, maybe it's about time to call now. You know, maybe they they wouldn't have killed her yet. Maybe, and then he calls up, and it's fucking daft. So yeah, that even just small things like that just do damage to Kingpin. Because I mean, it's been 3 episodes. There's no way that he's only just finding out what's been going on right now. He would. It's like if someone's tried to kill you, you've been in a coma. You wake up. The first thing you think about, the last thing that you saw, is someone trying to execute you. That is the first thing that comes to mind. That is your #1 priority, especially if you're Kingpin. So it's like you should already know everything that's going on. You've been awake for 3 episodes. There's no way you've only at this very moment been informed that your guys have gone up to kill Echo. So it's like you must have told them what to do. So yeah, they get let go. Bonnie and that just said, "Oh, does it hurt?" Like where she says that to Bonnie, like after punching her. Bonnie's like, "Nah, it's fine." Bonnie's like, "I'm gonna call the cops," and then she's like, "No, don't call the police. Just go and get away." And that, guys, that's the last time they talk. They don't talk at all. That is the only 2 examples of them talking to each other. Even though we start the show off with these 2 are like sisters, they're so close, and then you have the aspect of them drifted apart. Echo just like, fuck you. I'm not, even though you want to help me out, I'm not going to get back to you after my dad's dead. Things like that. And that's, you got all that stuff that you could work with. Just that sort of conflict. And you've just had, they have 30-second conversation and then a 10-second conversation. Nothing else. We're not even going to give Bonnie anything to work with. We're not going to give her a character. She's just in the show. That's all it is. So then Henry talking to Echo, he's realizing there's only one person that could have called those guys off, and that's Kingpin. Echo's like, yeah, but I killed him. It's like, no, you should have known you didn't kill him when the bullet didn't go through his straight in the middle of the head. You should have already known. I don't know it's so long afterwards. So yeah, I don't know how she fucked it up at a point blank range. It's like, I've never fired a gun, somewhat, not a real gun at least. It's like, I'm obviously not a good shot, but if I was standing at point blank range, I am not missing. There's no way you could miss unless you've got Parkinson's. That's the only way. And I don't believe Echo has Parkinson's. I just don't believe she had it at all. So then Henry agrees to help her. I'm gonna, my offer still stands. I'm gonna help you. They have a big music sequence. Echo gets a new leg. That's so interesting. Very interesting. Stuff to do. I get it's some type of tribal fucking nonsense. It's like, oh, this is designed like the first Choctaw. When you're out in the big city of New York, you represent our people. Do you really? Do you really want a murderer representing your people? Because I wouldn't. I would not want that. It's just like, I keep coming back to the bit at the end of episode 5 where they thank the Choctaw Nation. I'm just like, surely they'd be a bit offended, wouldn't they? You want this murderer representing you, but what? Oh, fucking hell. So she's got a new leg. She's all over the moon with it. Well, not at first. She's like, oh, I prefer a simpler kind. I like it black. And he's like, I can paint it black if you want. And she's like, no, I'll keep it. Because I think part of the angle they're going with this show well, I mean, the description of the show is Echo rediscovers her roots. It doesn't really do that. That's seems to be another aspect that they could go down. You know, discovering your roots, even though it's, well, no, she comes back to where she's from. She's given powers. That's about as close to discovering her roots she comes. There's no real rediscovery of these roots. There's nothing like that. But that's what they said the show was. Oh, Echo goes on a journey of rediscovery in terms of her roots and family. Yeah, she doesn't do any of that. You could have done that. You've got the elements there to do it, but they didn't do that. So yeah, she's got a new leg. You know, we had to spend a long amount of time on that, just honestly. So then there's a big montage. There's music playing and that. You know, people have got looks on their faces. I don't know what they're thinking because I don't know who these people are. I don't know who they are. You haven't given them a character. So when I see this person just looking over there, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. You know, that was I get the same thought that I had with the Ahsoka series. You know, with Ray Stevenson's character. You know, they did nothing with him, and then you have things like he looks into the sky. It's like, I don't know who he is, so I don't know what he's thinking about. So it's kind of the same here. It's just why what investment do I have? You haven't given them characters, so I don't really know what you want me to draw from these things. So then Echo gets back to the house that she's been living in. Gets off her bike, and then Kingpin is standing over there, and you're just like, fuck. You know, what are they going to do with him here? You know, we got a couple of episodes that he's in, so we're going to do some damage here, do a lot of damage. So he's turned up, and then that takes us into the fourth episode. That, from what I remember, there's not much to talk about here. It's what's quite funny about the show is there's less and less to talk about the further you go. There's honestly more to talk about in the first episode than there is in the final episode. That's part of the reason why I ended up not doing a video, because there's very little to talk about. It's just all, you know, there's only, I don't know, what am I trying to say? You know, again, it's just the most superficial things. It's like surface level. That's what this show, it doesn't have anything of substance. There's nothing deep about it. It's the most surface level thing I've ever seen. So yeah, we're kind of, in this episode, her and Kingpin have a conversation. That's the majority of the episode. There's not really, again, not much to talk about. Then you go into the final episode. That's probably the episode where there's even less to talk about. And it's the finale. You know, it's the finale of a show. And I'm left with like, right, what am I supposed to talk about? So let's get into the episode 4. We're going to start steamrolling through them. Because we're going on a lot longer. I thought it'd take us about 2 hours. It's taken a bit longer. So we'll be able to get through it a bit quicker. I reckon it shouldn't be any more than 3 hours. So we've got about just over 50 minutes. So, right, let me see where. Right, we're still in the previously on, so let's try and get into this. So 2008, we go to New York, 2008. One thing you have to remember is that the Daredevil series takes place in 2015. That's when the first season came out. So, straight away, I'm just like, you know, well, this is the only part that really has any room, but, you know, we're kind of getting to it. So, Echo comes out of school in New York. We have this comical, or cartoonish, I would probably say. She comes out of school, she's like, oh, I want this ice cream. She can't talk, and the guy's like, "Oh, I'm all out of them," and then she's just standing, look at him, you know, all dumb, and he's like, "Use your words," you know, he does it sort of mocking her. It really comes across cartoonish, You know, unless, you know, I've heard things about New York. There's, you know, there's some people in there that probably aren't that fucking nice. But it just kind of seems cartoonish. So Kingpin, like, she gets in the car. Kingpin, very mad about this, goes out, starts beating the shit out of this guy. Beats the absolute shit out of him. Then he phones the car. He says, right, bring me another coat so Maya doesn't see this. But what do you know? Echo sees this, and then she joins in because she's a little psychopath. That is what she is. That becomes even clearer in the final episode. She's a psychopath, a psychopathic child. There's a good reason why she turned into a murderer. And then they walk off. So that's the 2008. So, like, one of the questions, because it's never really said, at least I can't remember in Daredevil, when he actually started, like, he became Kingpin. It's like you may have a bit of room with it because I don't think it's quite explicit. Although, again, it's like, well, Kingpin, he came to prominence because of the events of the events of Avengers. That's how he got to, you know, where he is at the start of Daredevil. He took advantage of that situation. I don't think he was anywhere near at that level, you know, what, 6-7 years before. You know, I don't think he was quite there yet. You know, again, it might be you have a bit more room with it, but it's still like, oh, I don't quite buy this. I don't quite buy that he was who he was in season 1 of Daredevil, this early on, this many years before it. I really don't, because, you know, again, he didn't have any power until the events of the first Avengers film. So I guess you could say round about 2012-13, that's when he came to power. So it doesn't necessarily line up with the timeline. So then we jump forward to 2021, and this is where I have a bigger problem. The timeline doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that Echo can exist alongside the Daredevil series. You know, as I mentioned earlier, Daredevil is now canon to the MCU, even though it already was, because they literally mentioned it in Daredevil season 1. They literally mentioned the sky opening up. You know, they mentioned it, so it already was canon. But Disney thought they knew better until they realized, oh, we don't know fuck all. So we've got to use the legacy of something else. So this is supposed to be, you know, Daredevil is canon to the MCU. This show is supposed to be canon to the MCU. And, you know, again, I don't believe that Kingpin had someone that was like family to him, because that's like, he's you know you have a sort of uncle that's not actually your uncle. He's kind of like that to her, so he considers her a niece. You know, that's what he considers her. And it's like, you think back to Daredevil season 1. You know, Kingpin in that season, he was a very lonely guy. You know, he was on his own. He didn't have anybody. He didn't have his family, except for his mum that was in a nursing home. She was a bit mental. But he, you know, just this lonely guy, didn't have anyone. You know, he had Wesley, but that, you know, he was more of, he worked for him. But Kingpin didn't have any friends. He didn't have any, you know, relationships. Only to be told now, oh no, actually that was all bollocks. He lied about that. He actually had this woman that was like a niece to him. He wasn't lonely at all. He used to say to her, you know, we're the ones we can only, you and I can only trust each other. That's how close they were. Yet, you know, again, doesn't line up with how Kingpin is in season 1 of Daredevil. It's like there's no indication that he had this fucking woman hanging about him. There's just no indication whatsoever. It's like he never mentions it to Vanessa, when it's like you would think he would mention something like that. You know, he's this big criminal, but he wants Vanessa. You know, he wants to go out with her. You would think that would be something that would come up. You go, oh yeah, no, I've got this niece, I'm very close to. But no, it's like he even buys a painting that is something to do with like loneliness. So yeah, that like I can't ever believe when I watched Daredevil that Echo was always there. How did Matt never find out about her? How did he never know that Kingpin had this person, this type of family? What again? It doesn't fit, never will fit, and I won't accept that it fits. I do not accept that Echo was a part of Kingpin's life, but it honestly seems to be. I'm starting to think that Vincent D'Onofrio is now going to be, like Anakin Skywalker, nostalgia bait. Like we've seen with Ahsoka, where he just gets dangled out. That's kind of what we're getting with Vincent D'Onofrio. I think the only reason why Echo is connected to this Kingpin is because of that. It's because she can't stand on her own one foot. She can't. That's probably we've got to attach this. I can't speak to the comics, but at least to what we've seen of her in the MCU, it's like we're going to attach our shit character to someone you like. That's what I think the idea. So that's why this has been done. That's why Vincent D'Onofrio has been wheeled in, and it's just like, nah, none of this works. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. This isn't how Kingpin. This isn't how Kingpin was characterized in season 1 of Daredevil. He was a lonely guy. Didn't have anyone. Except his loyal servant Wesley. That's all he had. He was the whole. He went after Vanessa because he was lonely. He wanted someone. But no, little did we know he always had this girl just in his life, big part of his life. That he made kill a bunch of people, but okay. So they're like toasting. Fisk says, let's toast to your final test. Echo's like, what do you mean final test? And he's like, oh, I've got nothing left to teach you, except you and I are the only ones we can trust. That's all it was. And then to prove that, the interpreter that he's had, so this is another thing that's probably worth talking about. The idea that Kingpin wouldn't be able to learn sign language when it's again season 1 of Daredevil, he can speak Mandarin excellently. And the reason he doesn't let people know he can speak Mandarin is because that gives him a step ahead of everyone else. People will say things around him and think he doesn't understand. And they're going to be a little more loose with their words. So that he used it as an advantage. So he can learn Mandarin, but he can't learn sign language. It's like sign language is a piece of piss compared to Mandarin. That's not as hard as Mandarin. With Mandarin, you're just dealing with these fucking symbols that are just like I couldn't tell you what. I couldn't even begin to say what it was about. With sign language, it's like, all right, someone does that, they must mean gun. It's a lot easier. But they then try and use this as, like in the final episode, they use this as proof that, oh, Kingpin doesn't actually care about her. He never bothered to learn sign language. No, it's just you didn't realize that he'd be able to learn sign language. But I think the real reason why they don't have him do any sign language is because, oh, it's Vincent D'Onofrio. We can't have him not say lines. We can't have him doing this the whole show. So that's first of all, that's why I think that decision has been made. But then it's like, well, she could just read lips. If she just reads lips, then that means he can still just talk. So you're not really losing out on anything. I honestly think the lip reading hasn't even been considered. They haven't even thought about that aspect of it. So then to prove that you and I are the only ones we can trust, he then sends the interpreter away and she gets killed. He has her killed. Because over the years, she's heard everything they've said. So she's been killed off, and it's just like, well, you know, that's what Kingpin would do. However, Kingpin would know how to do sign language. If he had someone that did sign language, he would be able to learn it easy. It would be nothing to him. So if this wouldn't even be a situation he would have to, you know, be in. So that gets us into the show. That's probably the most of what there is to talk about. Let's really start trying to fucking blow through this, because I'm very thirsty. So yeah, Kingpin's there waiting for her. You know, we're kind of just starting off from where we left off the previous episode. So Echo at this, Kingpin is a man that Echo tried to kill. She knows who Kingpin is. He's a fucking dangerous guy. Not anymore. But at the moment, he's a dangerous guy. She tried to kill him, so she's like, right, he's going to kill me. He is going to try and kill me. So, like, you would think, right, so what steps is she going to take to avoid being killed? You know, that's what she believes she's about to get killed. She puts a jacket on and a backpack. And I was just like, why did she do that? You know, what is the point in that? Why would you go, right, here's this big, massive, brawling guy that is going to beat the shit out of me, kill me. So I'm going to put my backpack on. That's one choice. You know, I would just keep an eye on him, keep at a distance. I don't know why you're worried about a backpack. But she then turns her back around. And, like, she must have seen these guys. You know, she was standing looking over that way. And then she turns around. You know, she's got to turn around so these guys can grab her. She doesn't try to escape them when it's like, you believe you're about to get killed. And you're not fighting for your life. You're not like, get the fuck off me or anything like that. You're just like, no, I'll let him grab me. And then Kingpin, I've got to stop. I keep saying Kingpin. I keep accidentally saying Kingpin just because it keeps coming out that way. So Kingpin decides to, he puts a contact lens in her eye. This is a very handy contact lens because it allows her, like, when Kingpin talks, it shows her the sign of that. So then she understands, because apparently he doesn't want any go-between. He wants to have a conversation with her. I mean, he already looks pathetic. Just, can we please talk? It's like, you're not fucking Kingpin. Piss off. You're not Kingpin. And then it's sort of vice versa for him. Like, he has it translates to him. It's something to do with this eye patch. Something like that. And then she's like, you can understand what I'm saying? It's like, well, how are you this slow? I don't know how she's so slow. It's like, it's pretty obvious. I mean, that comes across more hand-holdy shite. So then, what Kingpin is here because he wants to have Sunday dinner, with Echo like they always used to. They always used to have Sunday dinners. Just every Sunday they would have a family dinner. Don't remember that in Daredevil. I don't remember that ever. I don't ever remember. You know, there's some meeting coming up, but he can't make it because he's got to go and have Sunday dinner. Don't ever remember that happening. But yeah, fuck it. You've literally had Wilson Fisk turn up with a picnic. How they fail to understand villains to make someone really intimidating. They just don't know. They've got this big guy facing a girl that tried to kill him, and he turns up with a picnic basket. That's what we're... Yeah, already ruined. Yeah, he comes up with a bottle of wine as well. It's like, you know, I would understand this type of behavior with, like, Vanessa, because it's like, yeah, that's more of a, you know, a romantic thing. But when it's like something like this, it's just, like, really stupid. So, he comes in, they're going to have a bit of a chat. I should actually pull my notes up here. Let me see. Yeah, we're on that one, aren't we? Yeah, probably because this is more. I suppose there's a lot more conversations in this episode. Not really much, but let's see where we are. Yeah, we cut to present day. Again, it's like trying to decode something here, because there's about 2,000 fucking words on this Word document. So I've really got to try and look for where it was. So yeah, he wants to have a Sunday dinner on a Thursday. You know, they make some joke of that. And then he says, "Oh, you know, I think Echo. I think despite you trying to kill me, you're glad I'm still alive." I'm just kind of like, no. Why would you killed her dad? That's what she thinks of you. Why would you think she'd be? She shot you in the fucking head. She's just a terrible aim. That's all it is. So I don't know where he's drawing that from. Just making it up. Just like, oh, you're glad. No, well, nah, killed her dad. Don't think she's going to be able to forgive you. So you know, all of this is really pointless. But he says, I'm not angry with you. You just, you know, I'm impressed with what you did. You did what I taught you. You know, whatever that means. Where are we? There's so much stuff I've got to go through in this little document. But yeah, let's just kind of get to what he's fucking here for. There's honestly not that much point going mental with it. But the reason he's here, you know, she pours out the wine because she's like, oh, he's gonna, you know, poison me. She eats the other food though, so that didn't accomplish anything. So then they sit down, and he says to her, there's a, I'm not here to kill you. You know, there's another reason I'm here, and that is I'm gonna give you everything. You know, if you want an empire, I'll give you it. And you're just like, why? I just don't understand why. You know, again, we're getting into the stuff where he's very desperate for Echo to be back by his side, and it's not like, you know, you would think, oh, it's because she's like his niece. He cares about her, but you know he doesn't. You know, he tries to kill her at the end of the show. So that, you know, I don't really think that has any credence. So I'm just like, right. So why does he want her? Why is he so desperate for her to come back on his side? It's like, what does she offer you? She's no bullseye. You know, she doesn't have talents like that. You know, she's no, you know, whatever the Chinese guy was. You know, she's none of that. So I'm just like, what does she bring to the table? Why do you want her so bad? I don't know. I do not know. So that's the offer he made. She's just going to be handed everything. She's not going to have to work for it. He's just like, I'll give you the empire you want. Give you the empire you crave. I'll just give it you. You know, I maybe they go in the angle of he wants. Well, I think it's mentioned at the end of this episode, something, or in the final episode, something about, you know, Echo says to him, "I'm not your legacy." So I think maybe he wants her to succeed him. Maybe that's what it is. To be the next queen pin, as she so puts it. But then it's like, right, why though? She's not, she's not really a good fit for that. So I don't really know why you want her so bad. Again, it's never really explained. The only real thing you can connect it to is he thinks she's his legacy because she's like a niece to him, even though not really, because the show makes a point of, oh no, he doesn't actually care about her. So it's really just the show is confused itself. You know, that's kind of the impression I get. So that's what he wants to do, and she's like, you know, he wants her to think about it. You know, he's like, I told you that we're the only ones we can trust. But she got a lot of decisions to think about. She's left there thinking. She goes and talks to Henry about it. You know, and she literally says, "I'm gonna see if I can find the actual thing. Let me just try and play it a bit. No, wait. I think I'm a because I think I can only. Is it going to come up? Is it going to come up? Yeah. So they, as you can see it in the, she literally signs. He's handing me Queen Pin. That's a very cringe line. It's only less cringe because no one actually said it. If someone said, he's handing me the Queen Pin, that would have been, the holy trinity of cringe. So I can't believe, with everything, it's like, oh, we've got to add Queen onto it because she's a woman. It's like, okay. Why? Don't say that. It's fucking cringe. So she tells him that, and he's like, "You're not that stupid, are you? You're not that stupid." And then she goes into, "You just don't think I can do." It's that whole attitude again. Oh, you just don't think I can do it because of this X, Y, and Z. You don't think I can do it because I'm a woman or because I have one leg or whatever it is. First of all, I would just say, no, you just can't do it because of who you are. You don't get on with people. You don't have the right attitude to run an empire. You just don't. You're not strong enough. You can't talk. That kind of limits you. There's all those aspects where it's like, I don't really see you being good at this job. I really don't. No, there's nothing exciting. There's no emotion in it. There's just no passion whatsoever. And yeah, the answer to the question, when does the show get good? It never gets good. It just never gets off the ground. That's the real problem. It never gets going. And this is probably the only part of the show that I would actually say is, oh, it's decent. Henry is actually somewhat of a decent character, or at least he's got some character there. He says to her, "I know you can do the job," because he's obligated to say that for some reason. I know you can do that job, and that's what scares me. I'm scared of you turning out like me. And then he goes into this whole thing about, he sort of tells us, a little bit about his past. That's kind of what they go into. But he just says things like, when I was in New York, I will actually, I should probably try and do it some fucking justice. Rather than trying to, so here we are. So he just goes into like, do you know the reason why I'm 45 and alone? Why I've got no one? And he says that's because everybody I know, everybody I care about is all dead, and they're all dead because of Kingpin. Kingpin killed them. He's the reason, I've lost so many loved ones. He goes on to say, and after your father was killed, I wanted to get out of that life. I wanted to get out from under Kingpin. And then and then Kingpin said no. So he let him come up into Oklahoma and do his dirty work. And basically, if he didn't do that, Kingpin would kill him. So it's like you've got a lot of things you can do with that sort of premise for a character. You've got this guy. He's all alone because everyone he cared about were all dead. They were all killed by this man who makes him work for him. So it's like that could be something really interesting. Again, it's not really something I can praise because it's just like it doesn't go anywhere anyway. But it is he's probably the most interesting part of this show. There's something there. The actor's decent. But again, it doesn't really go nowhere, so it doesn't really get points, at all. But again, it's like within that 1 minute, we've had more character for Henry than we've had for Echo the entire show. That's how fucking bad it is. That's how little character Echo has. That within a minute, we know more about this guy than we do Echo. And I'd much rather watch that show, Marvel's Henry. That would be more interesting. But let's be honest, they still find a way to fuck that up, wouldn't they? So that's why he doesn't want to, want her to go, to go and work for Kingpin. And it's like, again, I don't even know why she's considering this. It's like, he killed your fucking dad. You tried to kill him. But I don't know why any of this is even being considered in the first place. It's like she already tried to kill him. So yeah, she's like, "Oh, you left me in New York when my dad died." She's just doing the whole blame game thing. And then he's like, "Yeah, I was confused. I'm sorry, all that." So she spoke to him. He's not quite happy to hear it. So then, Echo's grandmother has visions. Echo has visions at the same time. So Henry takes her off. Takes her away. Takes her to see her grandmother, something she isn't that happy about. And again, this is just like another conversation where it's like, I've got no investment. Really no investment whatsoever. They're clearly like, they don't really want to talk to each other. And then Echo tells her about the visions she's been seeing, and her grandmother says, "Oh yes, I've had the same visions." Let me see what she calls it, because I think when I did write my script for when I scripted what I was going to say about this scene, there wasn't really much. There was a lot of stuff you could skip over. So yeah, she tells the story of when Echo's grandmother was giving birth to Echo's mum. She says there was complications with my pregnancy. She was we were both gonna die, something like that, or one of us was gonna die. So there was all complications. They were told, there's not really much they can do. You should stay here at the hospital. But instead, they went, "I would take you out to the woods to a midwife." Okay. They took her out there, and then, because it was a life or death situation, she was given these powers. Powers which are, so you've got strength. Now apparently it's to do with pregnancy. I don't know what these powers, they're just getting more and more incoherent. It gets even more incoherent by the final episode. So you get the gist. She was saved, but she was also granted these powers. Where it's like, yeah, okay. It's like, yeah, that is actually a life or death situation. They've gone to good use there. Where a lot of times it doesn't. But yeah, she's like, it was a life or death ordeal, and that's why I was granted these powers. It doesn't really explain why the person that wanted to win a hockey match was given them. That doesn't really explain that. It's not really being that consistent. And then, so that meant that her daughter, that Echo's mum, also had a connection to these people. A connection to, to these fucking people in the visions, the first Choctaw. That gave her mum the power of healing, apparently. So now you can heal people with these powers. You're just getting more and more added on. Again, it's just fucking generic. It's like, we'll probably talk about it a bit more, but it's just like, what you could, like the powers you could have used, like Taskmaster powers, like she can echo people's moves. That's more interesting than generic fucking powers that have strength and mind powers and fucking healing. So it's just generic. I find it funny that the director had the balls to say that, the powers she had in the comics was shit. Ours are better. It's like, no, you're just generic. It's just generic powers. There's nothing remotely interesting. It would have been more interesting if we just had Echo, an anti-villain, fighting people. There you go. Job done. That is job done. All this other fluff, it's just fluff. That's all it is. It's because we can't possibly have her painted in a negative light, even though that's what she is. Painted in a negative light. She's a killer. So the grandmother goes on to say, the day your mother died, our connection was gone. My heart was shattered, and you reminded me of her. So that's why I couldn't be around you. And I'm just like, fuck me, you're a piece of shit as well, weren't you? You know, so, but, well, the dad, like, left with them. But yeah, that's what she says to her. Oh, I didn't want to be around you because you reminded me of my dead daughter. So that's why there's been this estrangement. So Echo cries about that. I'm just like, oh, I don't fucking care. I really don't care. Again, it's like you've started off a show with a murderer. You know, it's a bit harder to really, care about them. Care what they're going through. What we need likable qualities. We need good qualities about her. Maybe she's a villain, but then you just have something that, it's like fucking Dexter. It's a serial killer, but they get you to like him because there's something likable about him. He's not a really bad person. He treats people nicely. He buys them donuts. It's like that. It's like you've got to have. They need some quality about them that gets me into what they're going through. But without that, I'm just like, I don't care. She's killed people and doesn't really care about it. There's nothing likable about her. So she just shouted, I needed you and you weren't here. And then grandmother decides to make a superhero suit just randomly. When I first watched it, I was like, right. So the grandmother has that, that big showdown. And then she's like, all right, time to finish making the superhero suit. Okay. Don't know why you're making that. I don't know who you're making it for. There's no superheroes in this show. But yeah, she's making this this thing. We kind of see it a bit more later on. At the moment, we're just being given a big montage. But yeah, you can see it there. That's the... when you see the suit done, it's fucking ugly. It really is. It's so ugly and generic and boring. There's just nothing there that's like, oh, that's a real good looking suit. It's just like really not nice at all. And I don't really know why Echo should wear it, really. But yeah, she's decided, right, I'm gonna go down to the hotel that Kingpin's staying at because he told her where it was. I'm gonna go and talk to him. I'm gonna aim a gun at him, not fucking do anything again. And I better bring up my notes again, just because we got a little more. I'll try and get through this bit quick anyway. I mean, you'll be surprised how quickly we get through the finale because there's nothing really. So where are we? Yeah, so she sort of goes in, holds him at gunpoint. And then he starts telling her that he's always loved her like a daughter. A daughter that he never mentioned once throughout 3 seasons of Daredevil. Never mentioned her. She never went to see him in prison. Nothing like that. I suppose that's another thing we haven't spoken about with Kingpin. Why is he out of prison? How did that happen? Because the final episode of season 3 of Daredevil, he agrees to go to prison. He goes back to prison, because the only reason he was out of prison, is it under house arrest. That's the only reason. So he wasn't even out of prison. He was just in house arrest. Daredevil came in, beat the shit out of him, allowed him to live, and said, that you have to stay in prison. You remain in prison. And that's what Kingpin agrees to do. He goes, right, I'll go back to prison. I'll leave your friends alone. Karen Page and Foggy. I'll leave those alone. As long as you promise that you don't tie Vanessa to my crimes. If you don't do that, I'll leave your friend. I don't know how they're going to explain this in Daredevil, like when Daredevil Born Again. Because it's just like, right, he was in prison. That's where we ended. He was in prison. How the fuck did he get out? How did he get out? How is he still in the same position he was? I honestly, I don't think we're going to get an answer because they're not going to watch the Daredevil show. The people making the new show, they're not going to watch it, so they're not going to know. But yeah, that was another thing that I did forget to mention. He was in prison. I don't know how he's walking around. I mean, all the things that he went to prison for, it's like, yeah, he's not getting out of there within 2 years. He's going to be in there for quite a while. So yeah, that's another thing that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, so now he's like, you've been like, I've loved you like a daughter, even though not really, because I never mentioned you to anyone. And I also killed your father, so that makes no sense really. Yeah, he says that they only had each other, even though no, he didn't, because Kingpin was all lonely. It wasn't until he met Vanessa where that loneliness started to go away. So no, he wasn't. She wasn't the only one he had. He didn't have anyone. As I said, he had his loyal servant Wesley, and that was it. So Echo goes in and says, I don't. Kingpin has this thing where he's like, I thought you seen my actions as heroic. What? Whatever. He's just delusional, quite clearly. I don't really know why he said it. But she's like, oh, my memories are a lie. A child's fantasy that turned a monster into a hero. She just doesn't realise it's kind of, pot calling the kettle black, isn't it? It's like, no, you're a monster, Echo. You are a murderer. And that's the funny thing. They literally try and blame the fact that she's murdered people on Kingpin. Like, she takes no responsibility for her actions. She just says, oh no, it's because of Kingpin. It's all your fault. That's why I killed those people. You manipulated me into doing it, even though it's very hard to manipulate someone into killing someone for you, unless you're fucking Darren Brown. Then it's like, yeah, someone like that can probably convince you to kill someone because he's, a magician. Illusion of, that kind of thing. But it's like, it's very hard just for someone like King to manipulate someone into murder. That's what he kind of says to her when she says that. Says, I don't remember you ever pleading for their lives. And she's just like, nah, it's all your fault. I didn't pull the trigger. Even though she literally did. It's like, no, take some responsibility. But again, it's kind of, what you expect. No different from what you expect. Yeah, so she just says, like, after he sort of says, you never pleaded for their lives, she says, you isolated me, told me that we could only trust each other, but it was all a lie. Even the contacts he got her, the magical contacts, that for sign language. Even the contacts he got her was because he couldn't be bothered to learn sign language. Even though he could, like, he'd be able to. He learned Mandarin. That's harder. So much harder. So he gets really, really angry. Really angry at being accused of not caring about her. I don't know if he cares about her or not. I don't know. I mean, he says he does, but at the same time, he does things that doesn't. So there's no consistency there, really. Yeah, so he gets angry about it. And then he says, oh, I realise I've failed you now, just like my father failed me. And then he tells her that, he's got his hammer. He's got the hammer that he killed his dad with. He keeps that around to remind him. I always remember it being the cufflinks. He always wore his father's cufflinks to remind him of where he came from, of who he was. I can't remember him walking about with a hammer, like keeping the hammer on him at all times. You brought this hammer with you for a 2-day trip. A 2-day trip to Oklahoma. Why would you bring that? Did you think, oh, I know what I should bring on this trip, the hammer that I killed my dad with. That might come up. I can't remember if that was something in Daredevil. I'm going to be doing a rewatch soon, so maybe I'll see. But I always remember it was always the cufflinks. He wore his father's cufflinks to sort of, remind him. So yeah, he's just like, I failed you. He tells her the story of what really happened. She's like, you killed your own dad. He tells her the whole story. His dad beat his mum and all that. I think it's very easy to remember that part of Daredevil was, his dad was running to be what was it, mayor? Yeah, I think it was mayor. And then he, he was in debt to all these gangsters. He fucking blamed it on the mother, beat him, until Kingpin fucking put a hammer in his head. And that was quite brutal. That's how you use your R rating. They haven't done this in this show. It's like it might as well just be the normal rating they get. So yeah, and he says like him killing his father, freed me, and now I'm gonna free you. And he offers Echo a choice. He gives her the hammer and says, free me. He wants her to kill him. Again, going to all this lengths for this person that I don't know why. What is so special about her? I don't know what at all is special about her. So that's. But yeah, she refuses him. Yeah, she leaves. Yeah, she fucks off. She goes back here. She thinks on things. She thinks about a time with Kingpin. And then she decides to leave town. Cause all this trouble. The trouble hasn't gone yet, and she's just pissed off. So yeah, I think because Kingpin told her, we'll come to the runway and we'll fly back to New York together. She doesn't turn up, so he starts punching the seats and all that. He starts just battering the seat. He gets real. Look at him, like a big kid over this woman. And I'm just like, I don't know why you want a Kingpin. What is so special about her? What is it? Who knows? So he's very upset about this. So there's gonna be some blowback because of this. You don't say no to Kingpin. Right, let's get to this final episode. Let's get through, because once we get to the end of this episode, we're pretty much just gonna, we'll be done. Now I can close that out. Right, there we go. So I think we get another previously on, because so much happened in the previous episode. So Echo's been leaving. Right, we're gonna get to this. So yeah, first we get this very 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 funny flashback. So as you can see, you got the little. I want to call it a woodpecker, but I think it is a hummingbird. It doesn't quite look like Woody the Woodpecker. But it's sort of, it's pecking at the wood. It's just minding its business, as all these birds do. It's not harming a soul. Until this fucking Ted Bundy psychopathic twat goes, oh, I know. If we can see it, she gets a slingshot out. She gets a slingshot, and then she fucks this bird. Look at that. The brutality of that. Again, I'm just confused by why this has been put in. Why exactly would you have this little girl turn up and then abuse this bird like that? I don't know. I don't know why it's here. I really. I think when I was doing a script for this episode, I just sat and laughed at this part for a good 5 minutes, because of how again it just makes sense why she turned out to be a murderer. It's like you can't blame it on Kingpin. You were just born a psychopath. You just seen a bird doing nothing to you. You got your slingshot out, hit it with a big fucking stone, and it fell out a tree. And then you had the balls, as we see here, to run over with her mother. Oh, the bird's hurt. She looks like a fucking psychopath as well. She's like, it's hurt. I found it. I definitely didn't throw a rock at it. I found it, Mum. It was just hurt for some reason. I had nothing to do with it. But you see, the mother knows her daughter, and she's like, why are you lying to me? So is this a common occurrence? She just randomly decides in a psychopathic episode to just knock a bird out of a tree. Again, it's like, do you want me to like this person or not? I don't know. Because it's just like, we just seen her do that to some little bird. Again, I don't know what you want me to draw from that. It seems like the only thing they want really want here is, oh, look at her mother. She has the power to heal. That she seems to do fuck all with, by the way. You know, if you actually had the power to heal, you know, you would think you'd do a bit more rather than just, oh, sit in my back garden on days. You know, you would work somewhere where people need help. So it doesn't really, it just, all it does is, oh, she has to clean up Echo's mess by healing birds that she's attempted to kill. That's the impression I get from this. But yeah, I honestly sat for about 5 minutes just laughing at this because I don't know why it's in it. It's just, it makes her look like a psycho. That's the only thing it does. You know, they say that these birds are these used to warn the first Choctaw when enemies were near. They would start pecking. So that's something that they. I mean, they don't really set it. You know, they set it up in this episode. That, oh, if this bird bangs on a tree, it means trouble's coming, or trouble's happening. You know, it's something. It's just every time it's just mystical shite. But let's really try and get through this because, yeah, we're almost at the 3-hour mark. So yeah, again, this bit we can just skip. She comes in because she wants what does she want? She wants a sewing machine, and he's kept her old sewing machine. And then she goes about her day. She bumps into Kingpin. She's got no clue who he is. He's been on TV. You don't know who that is. I don't know. You know, maybe it's something to do with living out sort of in the middle of nowhere, essentially. But it's like, so he helps her. He's like, oh, I'm in town for the parade or the festivities because there's like some native festival going on. That's what's going on here. So that's what he lies to her. She says to him, oh yeah, yeah, we're all going. My granddaughter's in town and that. She mentions Echo for some reason. From New York. And he's like, well, tell me about her. And then it goes all sinister. It's like, oh, well, he's gonna kidnap her. So then we see, yeah, Echo arriving at this diner because as you remember, she's leaving town. We've got Zane coming in. He comes in there, all suspicious like. Echo sits for a bit, and then Biscuits texts her, oh, where are you? My grandmother and Bonnie haven't turned up. They were supposed to be here hours ago. And then she sees the bird, banging. And she's like, oh, they're in trouble. I'm just like, you just set that up this episode. You set that up about 2 minutes ago. And now you think you can pay it off now. Although I can't remember if in the first episode, even though it was only fucking 3 hours ago now. I honestly can't remember. So that's when she's like, fuck, I've got to get back. She, arrives at home only to find her dead mum that she talks to. I do want to pull up some of the things that gets mentioned here. Let me see. So yeah, Mum just tells her that she isn't alone, and that all that came before you are now part of her because they echo through her. And I'm just like, oh, fuck off, because they're going the angle of echo through generations. So boring, absolutely boring, lame. That's the word I would use. But yeah, they're now a part of you. They're going to echo through you. They're going to help you out of these situations. They're giving you the powers. And again, I've already went over it, but it's like out of all the people that you could pick, you go with the villainous murderer. Why? It doesn't make any sense. You would think you would have to be worthy of the powers. She isn't someone who's worthy of them. She's a bad person. So why give them to him? Makes no sense. But yeah, it's just given powers for it doesn't deserve it whatsoever. So that's what's going on there. And then she points at the suit. Oh, this, let me see where we get to. Yeah, she points out the horrifyingly ugly suit that I hope we never have to see again. She just says, you know, the Choctaw were very special women. All the way back to the first Choctaw. Yeah, the first Choctaw. Fucking hell. The echo comes from a long line of very special women, all the way back to the first Choctaw. They were the ones that carried the fire. They were the protectors of their people. They fought for their family, and now it's your turn, Echo. Even though you've went against that at every turn, you endangered your family by bringing trouble up here. You know, you're already done. I don't know why all of a sudden it's like you can be the protector, Echo, even when she's not a hero. And she just says, you know, she tells Echo, you got to stay and fight. Stay and fight and forget. And don't forget that her gifts, or, you know, a power set, you know, whatever these powers are, which include strategy, cunning, ferocity, and love. That's apparently what the powers are. That's what her mum says to her. She says, oh, that you've got the power of strategy, cunning, ferocity, and love. I don't know what that is. What power is that exactly? That just seems like normal human behavior. Doesn't seem like that's powerful or powers. Again, it seems like just an attempt to be very vague. So it's just like whatever the fuck we want to happen can happen. Again, there's not actually any rules on it. So Echo suits up and she goes to the festival. By the way, she has no lead. She doesn't know where Kingpin's taken her family. Yet she somehow turns up exactly at the right place. I get the feel when something's been cut. So yeah, she starts like walking about. I'm not being funny, but she sticks out. She really does stick out. She doesn't really, and it's like people know who they're looking for. So she's in that while she looks for Kingpin. The first little warehouse she comes to, she finds him. That's honestly the amount that you can skip there. She's just in the crowd walking about for 5 minutes. That's why I skip so much then. We don't really need to worry about the Henry stuff either. That doesn't really come into it. But yeah, Echo finds the warehouse that she has to come to, only to come across Kingpin. Now I will need to again find where I am. Right, I think I was in the right place. But yeah, he reveals that I've got your family. Here they are. Here's your grandmother. Here's Bonnie. I'm gonna kill them. Things like that. Right, let me see. He just goes on about, I offered you everything. And I offered you everything not so you could betray me or something like that. He's on about this betrayal. There's no betrayal, Kingpin. She didn't betray you. She just, refused your offer. It's not really a betrayal. She just declined. That was it. And I find it funny that he's considering her betrayal this, not the fact that she tried to kill him. That's not the betrayal. This is the betrayal. So yeah, he's not happy about that. And then yeah, you get the whole speech from Echo. Echo looks at him and says, my family aren't a part of this. Let them go. But it's like she made them a part of this. I don't know what she's talking about. Yeah, and then I did write in my script. She then just spouts a load of nonsense. She just says stuff about her family, her blood. She's a part of them, and they're a part of her, and that she's their legacy, not his. Is that and that's kind of what I did right in this. Is that honestly why Kingpin wants her so bad? Is for her to be his legacy? Again, you're not giving me any reasons for that. There's no justification why he would want that. We haven't had anything. He hasn't said, oh yeah, I want her because of this. If Marvel were going to do it, that would be the way to go. Because they're not going to put any talent into it. But yeah, it's just like there's really nothing. There's nothing to indicate why he wants her this bad. It just isn't. But I guess if they say so that he wants her to be his legacy. I don't believe it, but that's I guess what we've got to go with. And yeah, it's kind of like, if they want it to be that he does actually care about, which I think he doesn't. It's like, well, he's kidnapped her entire family. It's not really the way to go about it. So then, this is kind of all the stuff we just talked about then. So then I think as they're about to, we get this cringe. I think everyone's laughed at this shot. I don't think they're actually in the room. That's one thing I can say. They're not actually in the room. I think they just, I don't know. I don't even know what they're going for here. But that is just fucking cringe. It really is. It really is the, just in that image, it's like, yeah, that's what Marvel's been doing for years. That's sort of where the focus has been. I'm pretty sure someone was having a wet dream at this. Because it definitely comes across as try hard. It really does. It's like, oh, you so want me to think this is cool, don't you? That's what that's what I think they're attempting to do. So yeah, we have to witness, if I can actually see it, if it's about to happen. But yeah, so she's fully got these powers now. It goes through all the generations. And she's also able to pass these powers on to other people. So that's another thing that they can do. Which, I wouldn't bring this character back again. I would not bring Echo into Marvel again. It's just going to cause problems. Because all these powers that she's doing now, they will not come up if she gets, if she's in another project. There'll be so many instances, it's like, oh, why don't you use that then? This is almost like in Thor Love and Thunder. It's exactly like that. Where Thor gives some of his powers to little kids. First of all, we can't do that. Second of all, why, if he can do that, why has he never done it before? That's the problems that specifically powers like this create. When it's like, oh, why couldn't you do it then? I guess this only has the advantage of the fact that it's only people of the Choctaw Nation that can use them. Maybe that's really the only thing that brings it down a bit. So they're given powers, and fuck it, we just skip over it. We get to see the grandmother give someone an uppercut, which I can't find. It can't be bothered to find, but it's in there. And that's it. So she's beaten all the guys. She's just got Kingpin left. She does this. She does like this on his chest and then on his head, and then she enters his mind, and also lets him enter his mind. So now it's like, oh, Professor X powers as well. Is that what mind powers or whatever? So yeah, it's like the weirdest shit. It's just like she sends Kingpin into his own mind, and then she follows him in there to the day that his mother is getting a good whooping from his dad, and then he starts just crying, and it's just like, fuck me. You just kind of laugh when you hear people at Marvel say, oh, where Kingpin could be the next overarching villain. It's like, no, fuck off, he can't. You had him cry. You already had him beaten by a little girl, which, would be okay if she faced him a few times and got beaten. But even then, that's still pushing it. Again, what the problem we have with Kingpin now is the same problem we had with Kang. He keeps getting beaten by everybody. In sometimes it's a bit better because he's not fucking crying like a little baby. But it's just you kind of use it all up. There's no toothpaste left. It's all gone. There's just nothing left in the tube. But so it's just like, yeah, I don't know what they were going for here. I don't know what any of this fucking means. It's just like, oh, she went in his mind. She entered his mind, made him go in there. I don't know. I don't know how that works. It's basically a mind fight. Let's just call it that. But he's sitting on the bed crying. He can hear the wall, the walls banging. Echo turns up. Let me just get to it so I get it right. So yeah, Kingpin wakes up in his own mind. On a day when his father was beating his mother, that we've went over. And then Echo tells him in sign. And just remember, he doesn't understand sign. So whatever she signs, that was pointless. That's meaningless. Again, the fucking no logical thinking. You can't have Kingpin. He doesn't know sign language, and then the lesson that Echo wants to teach him, she does it in sign language. It's because he doesn't understand any of that. Doesn't understand any of that unless you somehow have the power of subtitles. Which, with how it's going, I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, she just says to him, "Oh, you need to let go of the anger and pain. Let go of the anger and pain. That's it. That's a let go of the anger and pain, because that's what she's done. She's went on a journey to get here, although she hasn't. So that's all she just let go of the anger and pain, and then she just lets him escape. Like once they come out into the real world again, because I'm still confused on what that was. She lets him escape because she isn't a hero. She's a villain. Lets him escape, and I don't know. There's another flashback here. I don't fucking care. You get a sort of like little montage. They seem to do that almost every episode. There's like a montage of just stuff. So she then decides, she's then embraced by her family at the family barbecue. This was all well-deserved. We done a lot for this, the family aspect of it. Again, it's just... none of this was explored, like the whole family aspect. Just none of it gets explored, so everything is just meaningless. There's nothing satisfying about it. It's just like, oh, she's going to barbecue now. That's kind of what I take away from the show. She wanted to be a crime lord, then she didn't. Then she went in someone's mind. Got powers even though she didn't deserve them, and went for a barbecue. That's kind of what we've done for 5 episodes. We just get one final post-credit scene with Kingpin. He's watching the news. And apparently there's no clear front runner to, the race to be mayor. And he's like looking at the screen like, oh, I'm going to be the next mayor. How much do you think, I wonder if any of this will come up in the Daredevil Born Again. I think this is just, all of this is going to be ignored. I think the people that are working on that show are not going to watch this show. So, having a post-credit scene like this, I'm just like, you're not going to bring it up again. It's the clear implication that he's going to run to be mayor. And I'm just like, at this point, no, you can't do that, Wilson. You can't. Everybody knows who you are, how bad you are. You kill people, you fuck people over. The amount of people that are dead because of you. It's like, no, you're too late for that. It's too late. But that's what he's going to do in Daredevil Born Again. Although I highly doubt it. So that gets us through 5 episodes of Echo. I'm honestly surprised it took us this long. Let me get rid of that. But yeah, that's what that was. I don't know what that was. I'm still just, we really didn't get anything on Echo. There's no character there. There's nothing. There's no qualities to like about her. She's just a big fat nothing burger. And I don't think I've seen. I'm honestly trying to think, but I don't think I've seen a more hollow character than Echo, like in the MCU. Just utterly boring. You know, again, nothing makes any sense really. You know, she has these goals until she doesn't, or she has goals but like does things that don't benefit her. It's just like, yeah, you're just, you know, another dimwit to add to the gallery of dimwits at this point. But yeah, I better finish off there because I've been going for a while. I've got my dinner. I've got to go and get my dinner soon. I'm absolutely starving. Absolutely starving. And thirsty and tired and bored of talking about Echo. So I'm probably going to finish off right there. I suppose the next thing that we'll be covering is Madam Web. You know, I'm more or less just covering that because, you know, it's a memeable film. It just looks like, oh, you're not a real film, you're just a meme. So I'll be covering that for that reason and that reason alone. Although I've been hearing a lot about Sydney Sweeney these days, so, you know, that adds, that's more of an advantage, to be honest. I might give it points just for that. But yeah, I'll finish off there. But yeah, as I say, Madam Web's out, what, the 14th of February? So it'll probably be like the Saturday of that week that I'll be covering that. So I guess I will see you on the next one.